Uncover the line. Truth seekers, open your eyes.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. Tonight, I have something very special planned because quite often we attack 100% fake stories and joke about the ridiculous nature of some of these fake viral stories. But today, we're going to get to do, I suppose you could call it like a teachable moment. And not only are we going to expose a completely and totally fake alien story as completely and totally fake, but we're going to get the inside baseball. How does this happen that all of the major news media starts covering a story uncritically, not fact checking anything, not investigating anything, just running with the story for the clicks and views? Not long ago, a viral story hit the interwebs, and the story essentially was saying that the United States government was holding meetings with and contacting and briefing pastors and priests and clergy members all over the United States, telling them that they better prepare their flock and their congregation because the coming revelations from the government were going to be earth-shattering and going to change everyone and would be a huge world event. And you got to get in there, pastor, and prepare your flock. One problem: the entire story originated with what I would call a charismatic preaching grifter, basically a con artist. And it's funny how many of these Christian preachers, especially the prosperity gospel guys and the charismatics, are so much like the UFO scammers. So, of course, it's natural that they would sort of overlap, or, those two worlds would merge to create one viral, sensational story. But we're going to get to see that this whole story was based on basically a proven scumbag, and the circular reporting. We call it circle jerking. So one guy says something. He has no evidence to support what he's saying, but he says some big, fantastic claim. And then other guys start chiming in, backing up the sensational claim, going, yeah, he's telling the truth. I was there. And the second guy has no evidence. And then a third guy chimes in, and a fourth guy chimes in. And before you know it, that's all the media needs. Well, all these people are saying it's true. Let's run with the story. But when we peel back those layers of deception, my friends, what we get to see is that this whole story is so fake and shit. It's so stupid. We'll take a moment to welcome in the live chat. I see we've already got a kind and generous benefactor in the live chat. Tales of the Sonic Voyage with one for the goal, saying, my tithe, I've been absent. Sorry, boss. Yeah, all of you got to start tithing. I will be kind and generous to my audience. We only want 20% of your income to continue this great work that we're doing here. But thank you, Tales of the Sonic Voyage, for your kindness, generosity, and big support of the show. It is much appreciated. And for those unaware, this gives me a good opportunity to remind everybody that we are a viewer-supported show. We read every single super chat. If you're on Kick and you buy a sub, I read it out. If you send kicks on Kick, I read it out and thank you. If you gift subs on Kick, I read it out and thank you. If you gift memberships on YouTube, send a super chat, send a PayPal, buy me a coffee, whatever you do to support the show, I read and thank every single supporter. So don't be shy, right? Especially because we're talking about preachers, right? And I believe that today we will hit the goal, my friends, because I have an incredibly special bonus material for all of you. Should we hit the goal, and I will send that basket out into the universe, and it will come back filled with cash for me. Praise the cash, thank God Almighty, and praise the cash. Yes, my friends, there is a time to reap and a time to sow, and in order to reap, you have to sow, and in order to sow, you have to send me your money. Praise the cash. Praise the cash. All right, thank you. And we'll check in with the Kick Live chat as well. Uh, I have had quite a busy weekend. I posted some progress pictures of the new cabin. It's going well. Two walls are just about done, and now I got to worry about the last two walls, which are like half or one of them's three-quarters done. The stone wall, that's a long story. I put a door and a door frame in the stone wall, and somehow the wall settled weird, and the door was not level. And it wasn't just a little bit off, it was a lot off. So I started banging on it, and a bunch of the rocks came out of the stone wall, and I got to rebuild that. Oh, look at this. Super Money Fist resubscribed on Kick, and they've been subscribed for 12 months, a year of support. Thank you for that, Super Money Fist. And John in the Red Zone or Z08 resubscribed yesterday. And they've been a subscriber for 2 months. And Midnight Streams resubscribed on Kick, and they've been subscribed for 18 months. Thank you for the Kick support. We love it, mostly because, we don't have to tithe too much. We're allowed to keep most of the money that we make on Kick, unlike other platforms, but I'm not allowed to disparage other platforms. Hey, praise the platforms. And thank you, AI algorithms. Okay, David Wilcoxon Ollie with one for the goal. Sorry, the government already takes 30% of my income. They take more than that. We're going to have to, I really want to do this. Every January 1st, I mean to do this, David Wilcoxon Ollie, and I forget. I would like to track for an entire year how much money the government steals from me. And I mean for everything: real estate tax, income tax, sales tax, cigarette tax, gas tax. They do whatever they can to take every dollar out of your pocket that they can, because they're scumbags. But thank you for your kindness, generosity, and big support. It is much appreciated. Big support from David. I don't remember if I did it. So we thank Tales of we thank those Kick supporters as well. Let's get all right. Well, we're going to get right into it. I'll take a couple of comments and questions from the live chat, because I've been getting nasty. I got a couple nasty messages. Like, he only reads the messages in the chat when people pay. That's not true. I'm reading the chat the whole time we're doing the show. Sometimes I don't read them out loud, right? Steve is complaining about tax and building in a cabin in the woods. Uh-oh. Yeah. My manifesto is coming too, Croix. I hope I'm saying that right. Welcome. Yeah. I was thinking about today as I'm looking to buy a used car. I've been trying to find a four-wheel drive vehicle for like 2-3 years now. And what a nightmare it is. But, I was thinking, like, it's so stupid. If you buy a used car, somebody already paid tax on that car. And then when they sell it, they charge tax again. The same car could be taxed 10 times if it had 10 owners. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, Unabomber Shack, right? My sound machine is drowning the microphone. There is no sound machine. It's just a media file. Relax. I'll turn it down. Man, I have closed the complaint department for the rest of the show, my friends, right? Get a Subaru. All right, yeah, I don't know anything about Subarus, but my brother told me they run forever. And he's a mechanic, so maybe there's something to the Subaru thing, right? But I really would prefer a four-wheel drive pickup truck, and preferably a 4-passenger, because I really think after I get this truck, the sound effects seem to mute me. Maybe it does. I haven't used that in quite some time. I really think I don't want to do maintenance and registration and inspection and insurance on 2 cars. So, the car that I have now is decent. Well, it's running. It's got a lot of issues, but I don't think I want to maintain all that on 2 cars. But the problem is, occasionally I have to drive my children somewhere. So it would be good to have like extended cab or whatever you call that. Quad cab, I don't know, where there's a back seat that people can sit in. I'm going to need that. I know it's just going to end up getting filled with tools and junk, but the few times I really need to take my family somewhere, or my wife's car's in the shop, we'll be able to do that, right? I have a Hemi that really likes to fuel. Yeah, that's what I'm not looking for. I'm looking for preferably a V6 four-wheel drive pickup truck with 4 seats, or at least a bench back seat or something. Crew cab, that's what it's called. Yeah. Well, let's get into the video because this is like a teachable moment. Tonight, we're going to get to find out how a completely 100% fake alien story goes viral and why, really. So let's get into it. Oh, and before we begin, I have to say the person bringing me this story in a roundabout way is someone called Pastor Mike Winger. And this is the weirdest thing. The reason I found tonight's show is because of this Pastor Mike Winger, and I wouldn't have found it if not for finding him by accident. And it's a weird story. Like, I listen to podcasts when I go to sleep, and I'm not kidding you, for like at least 6 weeks in a row now, I have woken up at my cabin to Pastor Mike Winger preaching, and he does these interesting Q&As on theology. You can ask him any religious question and he answers them. I'd say he's scripturally gifted. He has a gift for the Bible. And I have never clicked on, I didn't ask for YouTube to play his videos for me, but somehow I keep waking up to him preaching at my cabin. And I was thinking, maybe that's just God's way of saying I need a little more Jesus in my life. Because, I never click on one of his videos and go to bed, but somehow, I don't know how, the algorithm just decided you need Pastor Mike in your life, dude. So we're just going to keep shoving his videos down your throat. And at first I kept turning them off, but then I listened to a few, and now I just let them play. If they play, I say, that's God's will. Got to hear from Pastor Mike. And especially on Sunday. If I wake up on a Sunday and Pastor Mike is giving a sermon or whatever, one of his videos is playing, I feel obligated to listen to his sermon or whatever he's doing. But he's an interesting guy. And especially, there's an awful lot of preachers and pastors on YouTube. This guy's got 1 million views and he's very well respected. He did a recent interview where he gives a brief synopsis of this fake story. So I thought we'd start with that.
Fake alien pastor government meetings, Bethel Church cover-up culture. Mike Winger is here today uncovering it all. He's got a lot of really troubling information about what is going on in the leadership.
And by the way, I don't think these nice, fine Christians are going to mind, but I'm still going to put my fair use banner and mention this is a transformative work. We're educating the public. We're critiquing the video that we are sharing. And we'll be discussing the video with our live chat. We'll be sharing live chat comments, making it further transformative. We're going to educate the public about this viral fake story. So yes, this is fair use. And thank you, David Wilcox-Anali, who's been a member for 12 months, a year already. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. 12 months of support. You only have to do 25 more years of paying that membership fee, right? Maybe less, right? If I croak or something early, but I don't really plan to. All right, let's get into the video and the viral fake story.
In the charismatic movement and why we, whether you are charismatic or not, should really care. We've got all of this and more on today's episode of Relatable.
And by the way, I'm a terrible show host. I didn't put the links to these two videos in the live chat or the video description yet, but I will at the close of broadcast. And so support these creators. And we're going to pass forward because sometimes they use copyrighted music, and I didn't check this one, so I apologize.
A guy that went on YouTube and
all right, let's back it up.
And why we, whether you
we'll just play the music. I'll cut it out if I have to.
Charismatic or not, should really care. We've got all of this and more on today's episode of Relatable.
I hope it's royalty free, but sometimes people,
Mike, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. Could you first tell us who you are and what you do?
Oh, well, my name's Mike Winger, and I'm like a Bible teacher guy that went on YouTube, and the stuff kept growing and reaching more people. And my ministry's also been expanding. My goal is to help people learn to think biblically about everything, but I tend to take on passion projects. And so I did like a 2-year study of the topic of women in ministry, or I've done, everything the Bible says about divorce and remarriage, or book studies, and it's all free content. But I'm also right now in the middle of a series of videos on what I call cover-up culture inside of, in particular, the charismatic church, although it does exist elsewhere, trying to expose bad guys and the systems that keep them in place.
And for those unaware, the charismatic Christianity movement is just another of the kind of cliques or kind of a way of thinking about Christianity. Kind of like there's prosperity gospels, there's Protestants, there's Catholics, there's Orthodox. It's just kind of a group of Christians, subgroup, I would say.
Can we talk about your most recent video? This video is about disclosure. It's about Perry Stone. Can you tell us who Perry Stone is?
And by the way, Pastor Mike is very kind to this minister. He's a Christian. He's not going to call him a scumbag. So I will. The guy who started this whole story is a complete and total scumbag, and he's the sex creeper on top of it.
Oh, well, Perry Stone, this is about all the alien stuff, right? Perry Stone made a video about how he heard about a secret meeting where the government people were informing pastors ahead of these coming disclosures about aliens and UFOs and UAPs or whatever. And I've had to add UAP to my vocabulary now. So this was so hyped up by him. It was very misleading. The fact that there's groups of people meeting to talk about their beliefs about aliens or the government, that's not new at all. That's been going on for quite a long time. But the idea that government officials were there and that they were informing these pastors so that the pastors could help the people because the government was about to tell us stuff that was so wild. They're going to confirm lizardy alien beings.
Reptilians, yes.
That it went viral. It went viral. It goes all over the place. And then pastors start showing up. I was in the meeting. It's true. And they were, I think, just hungry for views and hungry for attention. These guys rode this thing into a viral embarrassment to the body of Christ. Alan DiDio was one of them. Mike Signorelli was one of them. Joseph Z was one of them. Larry Ragland was another one. These are all pastors who got a spotlight time for it. And
they all got their
absolutely misled people into thinking that they had some sort of inside government
classified info,
government approved inside information. And it was just smoke and mirrors, the whole thing.
What were they saying and how was it proven to be untrue?
Well, initially they're saying things like the government people were there and they're giving us classified info. Okay, those are like the two pieces that probably grab people the most.
Which would land them in prison if they gave regular citizens classified government information, would land them in prison. So that should be your first clue that the story is fake.
Later on, when they were confronted more about
this.
So,
sorry, let me back up. Let me clarify for just a second. So Perry Stone, is he just a YouTuber? He's just someone who had this information because he's friends with Paula White, who is part of the Trump administration. And he put out this video saying, I've got inside information. There's alien conversations going on with pastors and government officials, and you're about to be told some crazy things. These pastors go out, say, yeah, I was part of that meeting. That really did happen. Start saying all of this stuff that supposedly the government had told them.
Yes.
So that was the timeline. That's how it all happened. And that's who Perry Stone is, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. I would just add that Perry Stone is also part of cover-up culture in that he was,
wait, we're going to hear about a sex scandal. TTJJ666, a rabbi is like a Jewish priest. They don't believe in Jesus as the Messiah or the Savior. And a priest is usually Christian priest, but there could be priests for non-Christian religions as well. I hope that helps. Now we're going to hear about this guy's sex scandal.
Sexually preying upon women in his own ministry. And when multiple witnesses came forward and people tried to confront him about it, he threatened to kill himself. He said his wife would leave him, and this is all on tape. And then said that he would destroy his own ministry if they tried to blow this up or tell people about it. But he's still going.
Yeah, so what happened with the guy who started this story is that 12 women came to the church elders of his church. and accused him of sexual misconduct with them of various degrees. So the elders had a meeting with the minister to sort of like straighten him out. And he responded by threatening to unalive himself and destroy his own ministry.
He's still going because there's no stopping these guys in this movement because of the culture of cover up. But yeah, it's that same guy who has a bunch of other issues. Weird. He's not a safe dude spiritually.
Yeah, I'm learning that. I think he's
okay. So
dude.
he's like
Maybe we'll try to
a
interview him.
prophecy guy. So he's got his own ministry, Perry Stone Ministries, where he talks about like his prophecies, breaking the
here's his
apocalypse
grifty, scammy
code.
shit that he sells.
He's got like a conference with Jonathan Kahn and some other people about prophecy, a lot about the end times.
Very grifty.
All of that kind of stuff. So he was the guy
Basically,
who came out and said,
yeah,
alien conversations are going.
Like David Wilcock was an ascension grifter scammer. This guy is an apocalypse grifter scammer. The apocalypse is always coming around the corner. Buy my shit.
Going on, and he's buddies with Paula White, right?
Yeah, he's part of that whole White House
buy my book.
Faith Department. He's part of that, and yeah, so he comes out, he makes these wild claims, and then other guys, that got a lot of interest because of the televangelist, probably. Basically. But then these other pastors confirm it. Hey, I was there too. Everything he's saying is true. That's initial claims from Alan DiDio. He's saying that what Perry said is true, and he claimed government was there. They're disclosing information to pastors. It's including information about like aliens and lizard-like beings. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about all those viral weird videos where they're like, it's a lizard person.
Reptilian aliens. The government's going to disclose it soon.
Now later, after it went viral, guys like Alan DiDio, in particular, he was the one who did it the most. He's a pastor, a charismatic pastor. He says, we never said it was.
Yeah, we're gonna hear it.
We never said that. And now they're gaslighting everybody and lying about it. And so I made a little video saying, hey guys, I think there's nothing to this. I don't think government was really there. Just disregard it. And then basically this led to me having to investigate more because they were claiming they hadn't said what they did say. So I went ahead and pulled clips together and just made the case and presented the evidence because I don't want people to be misled, especially by Christian leaders
he made about this
in the
whole
public
situation.
space. I think it's an embarrassment to Christianity. And if we don't call it out, then it's going to be like CNN that calls it out. And then everybody looks like they're kooks instead of just the kooks.
So who were the pastors meeting with? What was the truth?
They were meeting with just private Christians who they say are intelligence operators. They like to use that phrase, but they don't actually work for any government agency or any sort of government at all.
Oh, the government people that were
private Christians
briefing them doesn't work for the government.
Have theories based upon publicly accessible information, stuff that's not classified. It's all been declassified info for years. And they just go and they try to put it together in a way that they think tells a story that they believe is true. And the story they believe is true, interestingly enough, is that the government's going to affirm aliens do exist. And they're going to couple this with propaganda from the government itself to say Christianity is false. And Larry Ragland, one of the guys that was there, he said, government will soon, there will soon be an alien in the sky who will be a false Jesus, and there'll be a false rapture event, and they're going to use this to deceive Christians around the world. And I think most believers hear that and they go, yeah, I think that guy needs help, right? We don't want him propped up as, I have secret info from the government, because he doesn't. This was deception. These are kooks. Yeah. These men are kooks. Let's not have them spearhead, because this is what they did. They tried to position themselves as the government has informed us.
It's on my list
of what's really coming, guys. You need to listen to us. We will be your guides. We'll be your thought leaders through this turbulent time of disclosure. And I was like, this is going to hurt a lot of people. They should not be our thought leaders.
Oh. All right, so we've gotten enough of that one. We'll skip the whatever she's shilling. Hey, gotta keep the lights on for your show, and we'll go to Pastor Mike's. We'll go to Pastor Mike's video next. We'll put that back. And again, I don't think Pastor Mike is going to, copyright strike me. But we'll still cite fair use. We're educating the public, transformative work. We're discussing this with our live chat, sharing their comments on screen, making it further transformative. This is the textbook definition of fair use. Oh, and by the way, I apologize if earlier everybody got a whole bunch of notifications about newly published videos and there's some confusion. What happened is when one of the retarded Avengers, and you guys know who I mean, who's the leader of the retarded Avengers? Corey Good. When the retarded Avengers were trying to destroy my YouTube channel, Corey Good was going through, and any video that was about him, he was filing false copyright claims, and they almost nuked my channel. So in defense of that, I privated a whole lot of Corey Good stuff. But then I recently realized that I later unprivated it when we got our channel back, in good condition with no strikes. We fought all of his strikes. They were false, frivolous nonsense. He doesn't own any of the things that we shared, and it was fair use. I unprivated all the live streams, but I forgot to unprivate the actual pre-recorded stuff. So today I unprivated all that stuff. So I apologize if you got a whole bunch of notifications today and people were confused going, if this is a new video, why is there 2-year-old comments? Well, that's why, because it wasn't a new video. It was privated previously and we unprivated it because Corey Good can suck a dick, basically.
Some charismatic pastors made some wild claims, not necessarily true claims, and it went viral around the world about the government, the U.S. government, meeting secretly with pastors to help them prepare their congregations for this information drop.
And by the way, I just want to mention that one of the ways you can spot a completely fake story is that all the clickbait people, and we know who they are, the clickbait shows, they jumped all over this story.
That was coming about aliens and UAPs and disclosure, and there's half-truths and there's whole lies, and we're going to get into all of it today. I have some personal inside info. I've talked to one of the guys in detail. I have evidence. I've followed the trail. I've done what I do. I've gathered all the pieces to put them together to show you the truth of what happened, because once again, a group of charismatic pastors are operating seemingly without any reasonable or proper accountability in their own fellowship. And what happened was they got thrust into the national spotlight operating in that fashion. And it became, I think, an embarrassment to the name of Christ. I mean, they're literally being laughed at, like on Joe Rogan's show, brought onto the news to be put on display as being unreliable sources. That's my read on it. I'll share it all with you guys, including the spin. This stuff should be dealt with openly because it is open. It's already open. So at least let it be Christians who are being level-headed. Now, I want to say about the alien conversation. I'm going to go through all the stuff. I'm going to talk about Alan DiDio. I'm going to talk about, oh gosh, what's his name? I'm going to talk about Perry Stone. I'm going to talk about Tony Merkel, who was the most inside guy that's been public about the issues. And I'm going to talk about Larry Ragland, all of these guys, right? Names who you may not have known that well before, but now they're like national headlines.
Yeah, and he's naming and shaming these guys, and good for him.
But I'm also going to talk briefly.
A bunch of people participated in creating this completely 100% fake story, and they knew it was fake.
Real quick as a disclaimer.
And by the way, now they're backpedaling, all of them.
Disclaimer. When it comes to the topic of aliens, what I'm about to say right now is not actually meant to say that every conspiracy theorist is wrong or that there's no important information that's going to be dropped by the government. I don't mean that at all, actually. I'm open and discerning. That's my position on those kinds of things. I'm ready to evaluate whatever happens with my Christian worldview, with my brain open in a healthy way, but also with my commitment to scripture intact. And it's good to have those conversations. But please, church, can it not be these guys that are leading us in those conversations? That's what I'm going to say.
Let's not let the grifters be the guys leading the conversations. I agree with that.
Let's look at the evidence. And by speaking up on this, like with a mild challenge, I've got myself roped into it as well. And I'm just going to dig through it all today. Let's start with this. On April 28th, this is what went viral. There was a comment made by Perry Stone, who I know some stuff about. I'll share with you in a minute. Perry Stone is a charismatic pastor, fairly well known in that circle. And here's one of the headlines. It says here, televangelist UFO warning goes viral as America awaits for disclosure and proof. And the claim was that, and I'll read it to you from the article here, Cleveland-based televangelist Perry Stone recently claimed that pastors in an undisclosed state were warned by individuals connected to the U.S. government to prepare their congregations for coming disclosures involving non-human craft, materials not from this earth, and even reptilian entities.
Yeah, so pretty sensational headline, right?
Yeah, that was Perry Stone. Now, those of us who are familiar with Perry Stone understand
He's
to
a scumbag.
instantly be suspicious.
Yeah, you got to
But-
be suspicious of anything this guy says. Why? Because he's a scumbag grifter. That's why.
And for those of you who think, Mike, you're just being mean, you're assuming the worst, you're believing the worst of people. No, I'm not, guys. This is evidence. Perry Stone, the guy who threatened to kill himself. Let me just share with you right now. Before we do anything else, I'll show you who Perry Stone is. He's the gentleman who actually threatened to kill himself when it was going to be exposed that the man was inappropriately acting towards multiple women that were under his authority. And so I'll play you that audio.
I have 12 letters of where you're headed, and you've done it to all of them.
Okay.
Where you
You know what? I'm going to go commit suicide up in the mountains
Okay.
and end this thing because I'm not going to look. Listen to me before God. I'm going to go take pills in the mountains, Rob, because I can't put up with this.
okay, we're here to
I
help.
don't know.
He can't put up with women telling the truth about how they were treated by this despicable, disgusting, creeper. Great. So, and again, he's getting confronted by like the church elders on misconduct allegations. And his response is, well, I'll go up in the mountains and take some pills and unalive myself.
Oh, I'm a very sincere person, but I have almost no friends, man. And I have almost no friends because of like this.
You've got 2 friends
No,
sitting here
I know
to
I
help
do,
you.
but I'm just saying, like this. I can't shake a woman's hand. Oh, he's coming on to me. Pat him on the back. It's coming on to me. I'm talking about these other people. This other stuff, whatever. I'm just talking about these other people.
Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah.
I mean, it just really, and look, I will take my life before I'll let the ministry go down.
We're
And I
here-
swear to God, I'll take my
We're
life.
here to serve you.
No. This is going to get bigger. If he's got letters, it means they're talking it. If they're talking it,
They're not even talking to each
the
other.
ministry is ruined. I'm going to shut OCI down and sell the building. No, I need to. I need to shut OCI down, sell the building, and forget everything I'm doing. Because I am not.
So when the church people won't let him, sexually exploit the females in the church, well, I'll sell the building. If I can't essay them bitches, I'ma sell the building and shut this ministry down and take some pills in the mountains.
And if Pam Stone knows this, Pam Stone will leave me.
She don't
Just
know.
by she'll find out.
She will.
She'll find out, and by accusations, I'll be destroyed. So what do I have to live for? What do I have to live
What kind of
for?
a pastor
That's why
threatens
we're here.
to
And
unalive
I'm
himself?
ruined.
So Perry Stone actually threatening to kill himself rather than face the reality of these men who say, hey, we're here to love you, Perry, but we've got 12 different letters written by all these different witnesses confronting you with your inappropriate behaviors. He
Yeah,
completely
it's just
freaked out, said he'd kill himself, said he'd
accusation.
destroy his ministry.
Ain't no
He just
proof I
will not allow
essayed
any
them bitches.
accountability. And this is unfortunately the reality is years later, he's still just going and going and going with no end in sight. That's just how it
You say
is.
so, May Joe.
That's just how it is in some charismatic worlds. So Perry Stone is the guy that's the source. He comes out with a video. I'm going to play the video now so that you guys can understand where it all got started. It was this guy right here. Let's walk through all the evidence today in detail. This is going to be hopefully the only video you need to know on the topic.
But there were a large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state to hear
Yeah, just open Pokemon
Some-
cards.
men in the United States government and others share with them a concern that they had. And this particular man, and I'll not name him, and then we may end up doing some teachings with him or having an event at his church. He has a great church. But he said, Perry, what they're about to release, from what we're hearing, there's going to be a release concerning aliens and concerning unidentified flying object spacecraft that some of the
Yes,
people who
pastor of
were
the
in the
Church of the
meeting
Big Rip.
were telling us as pastors, you need to prepare your people and you need to get ready to answer them
You're
for
probably right.
what
on that.
you're about
Yeah.
to hear being released. And some of it has to do with crafts that have been discovered that are not allegedly a part of our planet, and the materials they're made of are not a part of our planet. Very strange reptilian looking creatures and other things that almost sound like something out of a sci-fi movie or an Orson Welles book.
Now, here's the thing. This one video from this one guy wasn't
Government's gonna tell us about them reptilian aliens, and we need to prepare to fly.
enough to make this go totally viral. See, the thing is, Perry Stone is connected to Paula White's faith office in the White House. That added some sense of credibility, some sense of weight to his words. It shouldn't, not if Paula White is involved. But he is connected to that. What actually I think made it go viral was some of the guys that were in the meeting retweeted or reposted or commented on the things that Perry said, and they were like, I was there, it's true. And so that offered validation to the things that he had claimed, suggesting, implying that the government itself is meeting with people to give them pastors, to give them disclosures for the sake of the public. Now, obviously, everyone's super interested in any disclosures about UAPs and UFOs. We're all kind of interested in that stuff, I think, and that's nothing's wrong with that.
Yeah,
we want to know that kind of stuff. But what this did was it added a level of real dread and conspiracy to the whole thing, suggesting that, yeah, like we've got a spacecraft from non-human origin, we've got lizard-like beings, and these guys said that Perry was telling the truth. So that's when the news did its thing. And the news already showed you one headline. Here's another headline. Also, this one's from the Christian Post.
Trembling, we've got Trembling. I don't know why I can't find you in my aggregated chat. Trembling Colors is in the Kick Live chat, says, congrats on the Nerd City appearance. Yeah, that's awesome. For those unaware, Nerd City, who's got like 1 million subscribers, he hasn't made a video in like a year. He made a whole video on UFO disclosure, and I am heavily featured in it. So not right now. Wait till I'm done, bitches. But after the live broadcast, go on over to Nerd City. Just put Nerd City in the YouTube live chat. Go watch his latest video, and I am featured in that. So I'm hoping to get a bump out of that, right? Trembling Colors, can I get a bump from 1 million sub channel? Let's hope so. It's the summer slump right now. Everybody's outside doing outdoor activities. The views are down. The support is down. Praise the Cash Almighty. The support has been abysmal, right? I hope you go check out Nerd City's latest video. It's about Stephen Greer and disclosure.
Evangelist Perry Stone claims U.S. officials briefed pastors to prepare churches for UFO disclosure. And we have another one from My Charisma that says viral claims, by the way, of secret government briefing.
There were hundreds of viral There were hundreds of viral stories, videos, and clickbait articles on this whole story all over the internet for weeks and weeks.
The pastors ignite fierce UFO disclosure debate. Secret government briefing. Notice how it's being worded? Well, this is actually pretty understandable when you consider the context of what Perry Stone actually said. It makes plenty of sense. Another headline. This is Space and Technology. Pastors claim Donald Trump's rumored alien files could challenge Christian beliefs, urging Christian churches to prepare. That is what they claim. That's not even sensationalized. That just is what they claim. And you'll see more of that. And you've got this from Kosher, and this was reposted and affirmed by one of the guys who was at the meeting, this exact tweet. And it says here, pastors told to prepare. Per Pastor Perry Stone, a quote, a large number, unquote, of pastors were invited to a meeting with individuals from the U.S. government telling them to prepare for UFO disclosure.
Scams.
Quote from Perry Stone, there's going to be a release concerning aliens. You need to prepare your people.
Well, surprise.
Underneath this is where Alan DiDio, one of the pastors, said, it's true. I was there. It's true. He even says in another tweet, it's absolutely true.
Well, check out his latest.
So it's understandable why the headline started running, because they were like, we got multiple witnesses all affirming the same thing that Perry is saying. This is from MSN. It says, church pastor warns Trump's alien files are going to shatter the Christian world. MSN.com. Yeah, okay, that's not what they said. But they did say it was going to be the thing that would lead to the great falling away. So, I mean, how different is that? I mean, how different is it from saying it's going to shatter the Christian world to saying that they think that this disclosure will be the thing that leads to the great falling away prophesied in the Bible? That, unless the Lord had shortened the days, even the elect would be deceived. That's the thing these guys are warning about. So it is very much doom and gloom. It's very much has to do with end of times, kind of eschatology, a certain particular view of the end times that not all Christians have or have to have, and tying that to government alien disclosures and government people being present in the meeting. So it's sensational, man. Of course, who doesn't want to know about this meeting? Who's not curious about it? Well, everybody's curious about it. That's exactly the problem. Everybody's curious about it. Then you get guys like Larry Ragland, who goes even further. And let me give you Larry Ragland, who was at the meeting, confirmed. He's one of the guys who was at the meeting. I spoke to Alan Didio. He said Ragland was a guy who you could trust. And here's what he said. Pastor Larry Ragland, we will see Jesus appearing in the sky as a false rapture as they push the alien narrative, implying that an alien's going to show up in the sky impersonating Jesus, create some sort of false rapture event.
They're going to be a fake alien Jesus going to try to fool us. We got to do something about this.
And that it's meant to deceive people. Okay, this is one of the guys who's at the meeting. I say this because, guys, I had gone public. Probably the most criticism I've received is because I tweeted out that these are unreliable guys. They are unreliable guys. Didio's an unreliable guy. I have evidence for this. I'll share today. Ragland's an unreliable guy. I will prove it to you. And Perry Stone is an unreliable guy on several measures. So, yeah, they're unreliable guys. Unfortunately, they drove the whole news thing.
This Pastor Mike is too nice. What he's trying to say is that these people who created this story are scumbag grifters. And then here we see Interstellar, one of the clickbait Twitter fuckers, right? Anything to get that engagement up, anything to get those impressions and those clicks and those likes and whatever. I knew the story was fake right away, just from who was reposting it. If you see these viral, these clickbait garbage peddlers posting about a story, then it's probably fake like the rest of their shit.
Like the timing was perfect. It was the moment was right for them to go viral. I don't know if they're even happy about it at this point anymore because it turned against them pretty quick. Because here's the thing. Here's where I think it's commentary on cover-up culture in the charismatic church. I think these guys can get away with this kind of craziness inside of their own charismatic churches.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
UFO
not all charismatic churches. There are good ones. There are good ones. But these guys, in their particular circle, part of the cover-up connections, they're able to get away with crazy claims. And so when their claims get elevated to like a much wider audience and people are examining them more carefully, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm in trouble for the things I say. And then they have to start backtracking. And then I'm going to give you the historical analysis. I'm going to give the evidence of the backtracking and the changing narrative. And then finally, Alan Didio, more than anybody else, Alan Didio blaming everybody else, including me.
I just checked to make sure that we're caught up on the super chats, and we are. I'm going to turn to DSP. We've got no support for 30 minutes. 30 minutes, we've got no support. The kick brokies haven't even started throwing pennies at me yet. But just a reminder, we're a viewer-supported show. I read every single super chat, and I have the funniest wackadoo for the first wackadoo of the week that I've ever seen. This girl is basically on Rumble making AI slop about the Galactic Federation, and she did a whole video where they psychically read my aura and shit. It is something else, and if we hit the gold tonight, we'll do that. Buy goldfish from him. What?
Mike Winger for creating a false narrative that he created and doesn't want to be accountable for. So he believes he was honest and truthful the whole time. We're going to walk through it today. Let's clear this up. Let it at least be believers
I'm gonna wage quit
who are clearing these things up and are speaking truth about these things.
I'm going to wage quit my own show.
Joe Rogan,
wage quit in the game.
Is able to call it out for what it is on very quickly and easily online.
Subject.
But I want to show you the evidence. So let's look at Larry Ragland. Okay, Larry Ragland gave some very specific claims.
I agree.
I'm going to look at his claims. I'm going to look at Didio's.
Listen, if we found out that there was intelligent species all over the universe, would that really change the grandeur of God? If you believe in God, no, it would mean God was even greater because not only did he create Earth and humanity, but he created countless other planets with intelligent life on them. So I don't see the whole argument that it would shatter Christian faith, or I don't think so.
Of his claims in the early days, then we'll look at how their claims shifted as things started getting heated up and they started getting news reports about them and going viral. They initially leaned into the virality and then started backing away off of it.
Yeah,
and then
how
it ends, which is very unpleasant, but it is reality. So first off, Larry Ragland, this is what he claims. This is, again, one of the reasons why it went viral. All right, listen to this narrative. This is what he said happened while he was at the meeting. And
we'll take a moment to thank a kind and generous benefactor. Troll says, Just don't crank one out during the show. Yeah, good idea. Great idea. And I'm going to try to lower this. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. That's one for the goal. And Troy is a big, long-time show supporter. So if you're a long-time show supporter, throw a couple bucks in our hat. Keep us honest. Now I can't hear it at all. Thank you, Troll. And thanks to all of our supporters. And by the way, we had a replay, and I think we got a super chat. I will find that. The horn. Yeah, we got to get the horn back. I think my kid was playing with it or something. It's not here. I don't know what happened to it. That's the danger of living with children. They mess with everything, right?
A government official warned him of some really specific things. It turns out, this is not true at all. But
by the way, Troll wants me to not crank one out during the show. If we don't hit the goal, I'm going to start cranking one out. Troll. I will crank it right on the live stream. As long as I don't show anything, then I don't think it will be a problem, right? Because I could be just acting like I'm cranking one out, not actually cranking one out, right? Thank you, Troll. So one guy says something, and then the next guy makes the claims more bold and more grandiose and even more sensational.
How it led virality in the news and put these guys' names and faces everywhere. But more importantly to me, embarrasses the church. And for those who believe these guys, creates psychosis and terror. And for those who are serious about examining things in the disclosure area, in the area of what is the government really doing behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff, it makes you guys look crazy. Because guys do stuff like this, and we could use serious and thoughtful analysis of those things.
Yeah, maybe I'm cranking just a little.
You guys are not helping your cause.
Can I crank just a little?
Pastors are invited to come to a private meeting with a group of men who are connected with the intelligence world that are believers, but are still have very high security clearance. These are legit, true men of God that are still connected to Washington, and even this current.
Still connected to Washington. Legit, high security clearances inside of the government.
Yeah,
administration and all
implying that they have access to classified government information. They didn't.
Branches of military. And they literally told us, we had a sitting congressman, a very well-known congressman from Missouri. He called into that meeting as well.
It's all or nothing. Yeah. If you got to be fully committed, if you're going to crank one out, you can't half-ass it. You got to really, get the lotion, get the napkins, I don't know, or whatever you do the cleanup with. You got to be fully committed, to the crank. You can't half-ass the crank. It doesn't work out good, right? Sometimes you got to crank for medical reasons, When I got a vasectomy, I had to crank one into a jar so they could check that the vasectomy worked, And it makes me wonder, is that permissible? If they need a sperm sample, is it really bad for you to crank one? No, look, my doctor told me to crank one out, basically.
That was just for pastors. And this is what he said. On speakerphone, this sitting powerful member of Congress said,
This did not happen.
The pastors listening to me? I'm getting chills right now because this happened to me. He said, are the pastors in the room listening to me? And I said, yes, sir, we are here. And he said, listen to me.
Yes.
Go and tell the church they are not ready for what is coming. The narrative that is coming, what they are going to say is going to be like nothing you can even imagine. They are preparing to tell us that they are from another dimension, that they are our creator, and that these beings, these aliens, or whatever you want to call them, they were the ones that seeded us here. There is no such thing as God. Jesus was invented by them. The Bible was invented by them. And begin to just say, listen, prepare the people for what is coming because they're not ready. But he loved us so much.
Yes.
He made sure that he told us exactly the blueprint to study. He said, study the days of Noah. And if you can understand how Noah responded, that's how you're going to have to respond. And I believe what God is doing in the body of Christ right now.
So Larry has been going at this stuff for a while. Some of these guys have been going at this stuff for a while, doing the conspiracy kind of alien sort of theories for a good while now. Alan Didio has a book on it. Larry Ragland does podcast stuff on it. Others do those sorts of things. And so what he has done here is he's claimed that the government was there, officials were there, their high-level security clearance, and they're briefing us, and then a congressman calls it.
You ever notice that aliens are always suspiciously just like us, Dave? Even if they're reptilian, but well, they still have, 4 fingers and a thumb, opposable thumb. They're bipedal. They got a head, a nose, 2 eyes, 2 ears, a mouth. How do we know on an alien planet that kind of life would evolve to be so like us? I think it's wishful thinking. That's what I think.
Turns out this, in fact, is not true, but you can see how it drove virality. My main point in this first part of the video is to show that the virality was from them, not from others, not from distortions. It was from this group of irresponsible pastors.
That's how you do it.
That made this stuff happen.
Then you appeal for donations.
Here we go. Let me show you another piece of evidence in that regard. So step 1, let's talk about how this happened, right? Here is a news type post where it says, wow, pastors are being told to prepare for UFO disclosure. And it has quotes. Now, if you look at the bottom, Alan DiDio, pastor, bishop, again, he's called Alan DiDio. It says, I was in that meeting and he's telling the truth. Now, Alan has been the guy, probably more than the other guys. He's been appearing on like Newsmax, like going on interviews. He's like trying to like get on Joe Rogan. He's asking if Joe Rogan will have him on. He really wants to get, as far as he can with this stuff. He knows he's got his eye on the ball, put it that way. And he says, I was in this meeting, he's telling the truth, referring to Perry Stone.
Maybe they got
and it links the exact video I played for you earlier. This video where Stone says government officials were there. Turns out that's not true. Says green alien discussions. Turns out that lizard people discussions, rather. Turns out that's not true. And the things that made this the most important and most interesting and most viral that Alan is affirming here by a blanket statement, if he's telling the truth, those things were not true. They created this problem. Another one is when Red Panda Koala did the following. Let me get this where you guys can see it a little better.
Clickbait Red. And get your clicks.
Here, I'll make it bigger like this. There we go. Says, I'll just skip first. Let's look at Perry Stone. Here he says, again, I was in that meeting. Right? The meeting, this becomes the fabled meeting. The meeting with government and pastors. He goes, I was in that meeting and he's telling the truth. Who is? Perry Stone is telling the truth. Right? Where did that come from? Alan DiDio. You've got to remember this because later on he will blame everybody else for this.
According to a new report, a plan is in place to slowly prepare Americans for what could be coming. And to achieve that, prominent pastors and priests from all across the country are being briefed by intelligence officials to start preparing Christians for information about alien life that could change the way we all think about our place in the universe. Alan DiDio is a pastor at the Revival Nation Church, and he was one of the pastors at one of these briefings. Pastor DiDio, we appreciate you being here. Can you tell us what you learned at this briefing?
Yeah, and I know it would be unusual to think that social media may spin things a little bit out of control, but there weren't any intelligence officials that were there.
Okay, one of the pastors present said, this is a quote, that pastors were told about the existence of reptilian creatures, UFOs, and materials from a non-human origin that almost sound like something out of a sci-fi movie. Did that happen?
I think the pastor you're referring to was secondhand information. I don't believe he was actually in the room.
Okay. So Pastor Perry Stone claims pastors are being warned to prepare their congregation for UFO and alien information being released. Now, here's some quotes. Let's look at the details. They matter. There were a large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state to hear some men in the United States government to hear concerns they had.
Yeah, there was no men from the United States government at the actual meeting. That's total horseshit.
So these are men who are in the government.
No, they're not.
Obviously, this makes it a super interesting meeting. Turns out that wasn't true. There's going to be a release concerning aliens and unidentified flying object spacecraft. Yes, this had already been announced at this stage, and it was not news. They're writing that news cycle, not creating it. Some of the people who were in the meeting were telling us as pastors, you need to prepare your people. You need to prepare to answer them for what's about to be released. Some of it has to do with craft. This is what DiDio commented on, that have been discovered that are not a part of our planet. Very strange reptilian-looking creatures and other things that sound out of a sci-fi movie. Now, what do I really expect?
And again, there was no members of the United States government at this meeting, but we do find out that the retarded Congressman Eric Burleson, who, by the way, remember we were covering David Grush, and I said we needed to find out how much money Eric Burleson, the retarded congressman, has paid Dave Grush, a UFO storytelling so-called whistleblower. He's a bullshitter. We need to find out how much he was paid. Well, Stephen Greenstreet of the New York Post found out before me. I put a request in. I tried to get this information, but he got it before me. UFO activist David Grush was paid $31,500 in taxpayer funds between April and December 2025 as a part-time employee for Congressman Eric Burleson. He's the retarded congressman. And I wrote this: evidence-free UFO storyteller Dave Grush has scammed the American taxpayers out of at least $31,500. That's just for 2025. I think he got some money in 2024 too. We're going to check into that. While being paid by retarded Congressman Eric Burleson to help him hunt alien space monsters. He has yet to show any evidence of his claims after 3+ years now. When are they going to fire this guy? This guy told alien stories, and then he got a job with the government to help the government hunt the aliens. And he stole in my opinion, he stole $31,500 from taxpayer money to help them hunt space aliens. He has no evidence of space aliens. He has no evidence after 3+ years now. Fire David Grush, and while you're at it, fire the retarded congressman that hired him to help him hunt space aliens, and that would be Eric Burleson. He is literally in our Congress, and he is literally retarded, in my opinion. All right, let's go back to this.
With these alien disclosures, let me say this. I don't want to get into that. What I will say is,
wait a minute. I didn't notice that. I want to take a moment to thank a kind and generous benefactor. We've got Stuckelberg's dog says, right out of Babylon 5, it is the Vorians and the Shadows used cybernetic ships, just like some are now claiming no creativity. It's amazing how much alien and UFO bullshit comes from Star Trek, Babylon 5, and Stargate. It's like they just watch too much science fiction and they directly lift stuff. And then they lift stuff from X-Files as well. But thank you, Stuckelberg's dog, for your kindness, generosity, and big support of the show. Much appreciated. And he's a longtime show supporter. And here's another longtime show supporter, Anime Chris, is here with one for the goal. Amazing how it all comes full circle when you have all the receipts. Fire Dave Grush and impeach Eric Burleson. Burleson wasted $31,500 hunting space aliens, and he paid it to a former mental patient who was put in a mental ward twice. Twice, David Grush ended up in a mental institution before he got the job with the government hunting space aliens. What the fuck is going on? Why would a retarded congressman pay a former mental patient, a twice former mental patient, $31,500 to help him hunt space aliens? And by the way, Eric Burleson hasn't seen any of the evidence that Dave Grush claims he has. After paying him $31,500 to work for him, he can't even show the guy paying him the money to hunt the space aliens, the evidence of the space aliens. It is ridiculous. But thank you, Anime Chris, for your long-term show support and one for the goal. Much appreciated. Let's continue.
Whatever is disclosed, I want to handle it with an open and thoughtful mind, with my commitment to scripture, also with reason and critical thinking engaged, and not just like, ooh, it's shiny,
I think I would like to talk to this Pastor Mike about what really would be, because he's kind of a biblical scholar, and I think he's really knowledgeable about the Bible and Christianity. What really would be the implications if we found out tomorrow that there's intelligent life elsewhere in the universe? What would be the religious implications? Would that change Christianity? Would it strengthen it? Would it weaken it? Would people leave the church? Would more people join the church? Interesting thought experiment.
You know what I mean. I don't want to do that though. So Alan says he's there and it's true. Okay, the lizard people thing, all this stuff is true, according to Alan DiDio. And then news articles get published saying it's true. Now you see why it happened. And there are also occasions where Alan DiDio suggested that it was actual government people that were there in the meeting. So he didn't just say it's true. He actually said it with his own mouth on occasions.
Now, the purpose of this meeting was that there are several people who are involved in an organization that is investigating the United States government. And again, I'm not going to reveal everything because Joseph Z and I are going to do some programming together going into detail.
Yeah, you gotta like ration out the slop that you're clickbaiting with.
About the meeting that we went to. But these individuals who are involved in an organization that is investigating the United States government and their illegal activities surrounding UAPs.
Sound familiar?
They wanted to have a meeting, an urgent meeting, where again, we go into this Airbnb. We have to turn our phones on airplane mode. There's no recording of the meeting because they're working with highly classified information. They're working with individuals who are operating
highly classified
information.
With
us, who are operating under aliases.
Listen, they can't tell regular people the highly classified information, or they would be arrested and they would get in lots of trouble, legal problems galore. So people that have access to highly classified information aren't just, running their loose lips around people that don't have the same clearance levels as them. That doesn't happen because it would be highly illegal. That's your first clue that the story is completely and totally fake. And I got to say, as a spiritual person myself, it's always disappointing when these so-called men of God get caught lying through their teeth. Like, come on, dude, you're supposed to be a pastor and a preacher. You're supposed to be a Christian. And here you are just lying. And I know why. They want to get the clickbait. They want to get the monetized views.
Different names. It was a very, very interesting kind of meeting to go into. And we may talk about some of the things that we discussed in that meeting here in this broadcast, but ultimately the purpose of it was disclosure is coming quickly. And here's what the deception is going to look like. Here's the narrative. Here's what the propaganda is going to look like. And these people who are working in government agencies are pleading with pastors. They're pleading, please prepare your people so that they are not deceived by what is coming. Please teach your people. And I think they're accustomed to talking to people who think this is fringe activity or they're scared to mention it from their pulpits.
So here's the two lies. We were told highly classified information, and we had this meeting with people that were working in government agencies. Those two things are completely factually inaccurate, factually incorrect. There was no government, there was no people working for government agencies at this meeting, and there was no highly classified information disclosed. So why is this so-called man of God, preacher, pastor lying through his teeth here?
So I think they were relieved to realize they were in the room with some gentlemen who not only are aware of these things, but have extensively taught on it and written about it, preparing the church. So that's the reason for this book, because disclosure is coming. There is a disclosure coming.
He'd also walk it back because quickly they started getting pushback on this. So let me try to explain that so it makes some sense. Here's him doing a Spaces meeting on X that was on May 5th, 2026. Spaces. This was just several days ago.
But the purpose of these men coming together, there's this one who worked in very specific branches, highly skilled branches of the military. There's another who works within the government, within different agencies in the government.
Works within the government, within different agencies in the government. That's how he starts off his X Spaces.
At least that's his past or his history.
At least that's his past or his history. So he's already hedging his bets a little bit. Now, previously he's confirmed he does do these things. Now he's like, well, maybe he did. He once worked in the government.
He may actively still be working in it, or
he may be
recently retired. However,
or maybe he is actively working in the government, or maybe he's recently retired. I think it's clear Alan doesn't actually know what's going on with this guy, but he knows that trying to establish the government connection is something that the audience is interested in, which it turns out is something he should not have done.
They're working together with a group of people to investigate the United States government and the crimes that they have committed in the pursuit of collecting, reverse engineering intelligence from non-human origin.
And isn't it interesting how all of this is just like exactly what the UFO grifters are talking about? Recovered alien spaceship, interdimensional beings. It's all taken straight from the UFO grifters. It's almost like the preacher grifters were seeing the UFO and alien grifters getting such big attention and all those clicks and views, and decided we got to mix some of this shit in with our grift.
So there's a group. Okay, wait. So now it's not a government meeting. Now that it's already going viral and there's people asking more questions, there's a little bit of pushback. Now a little more is coming out than what Perry Stone said.
I agree.
It's stuff that they had said earlier on, but it kind of fell off the map for a while. Now it's coming back in. And it's that these guys are actually, they believe the government's the bad guy here, and they're investigating the government. Now you'll find they don't work for the government. They're not in the government. They're freelancers who are investigating the government.
Correct.
But you can see where the messages are confusing due to the behavior of these pastors. There's one more post where Alan DiDio says straight up about Perry Stone. I was in the meeting. It's
so listen, I got to ask everybody in the live chat to behave because our one and only moderator, Arlene, her internet went down and no telling when she'll be back. So behave yourself. Behave yourself in the live chat, please. Thank you.
Absolutely true, right? Where what? Individuals quote from the U.S. government.
Yeah, so Alan DiDio said, I was in the meeting and it's absolutely true. Then he starts walking it back the minute that people start asking too many questions. There's another clue that the whole story is fake.
And are telling them to prepare, right? That's true. Alan says it. That's what made it viral. Now, in this Spaces meeting on May 5th, Alan explains in a bit more detail the purpose of the meeting, which is not what people would have thought. They thought, oh, it's the government trying to disclose to pastors what's going on. No, that wasn't really the purpose of the meeting. The government connection of these individuals was exaggerated ultimately by Perry Stone and then affirmed by these guys wrongfully. And then it was leaned into even harder, really hard by Raglan. But none of that was accurate. Now, here's another one from...
there's a lot of preachers that do that, but the chief grifter of all that stuff, the Nephilim and all that, is L.A. Marzulli, who no-showed here twice for an interview. He agreed to do an interview, and he left me live on air for an hour, stammering, trying to fill time to wait for him to get there, and then he never got there. Then he rescheduled it, and then he no-showed on the second one again. And he gave some bullshit excuse. L.A. Marzulli is a big scammer, grifter, con artist, like all of the alien UFO people. But L.A. Marzulli puts a Christian spin on it. That's his, that's how he, I suppose, differentiates himself from the other grifters, because he grifts to the Christian faithful a lot. And he makes an awful lot of claims that he never backs up. Like, oh, these elongated skulls we found, they have alien DNA, and then he never shows the evidence or proof of that. He's a scammer and a grifter, in my opinion. I'd still interview him, but he was too much of a coward to come here. I think what happened is he agreed to the interview, then he was tipped off that I was going to punk him. And I still regret not getting to punk him, because I had all this shit on him, basically scamming his audience and lying to his audience. And we were going to have quite an interview.
Alan DiDio, a post of his where he's a little more careful. And in hindsight, I see he's being careful here. But in the context of the actual events, it doesn't, it doesn't look careful at the time. He says the news is true. Okay, so Alan on the phone with me, we talked. I said, were you familiar with the news reports that were going on at this time? And he said, yes. So here he says the news is true. Now later to his church, he goes, I'm not really on social media. I don't pay attention to that stuff. I think he was being dishonest. But the news is true, he says. I was brought into a private meeting with other pastors, phones off, no recordings. We were warned, disclosure is coming, and many will be unprepared for what follows. Pastors must begin to prepare their people now. If you look at this carefully, you go, well, technically, he didn't say the government was doing the meeting there. But in the context of having affirmed Perry Stone's statements and Larry Raglan coming out, that makes everybody think that you think the government was part of it. Now, later he'll blame the internet for thinking that, as if they made it up themselves. So sometimes he's a little bit more balanced, but here on his May 5th Spaces meeting, he says a variety of things, sometimes contradictory things, and you can see why it bred the confusion that it did. Here he affirms again, not only that Perry Stone was accurate, but also that Larry Raglan, who has come forward with his testimony about the congressman, we'll get back to that in just a moment, what the congressman actually said when the congressman spoke out and was like, what is this guy talking about? But here he affirms those guys are speaking truth.
Some people maybe just be catching up, but the meeting that everyone's talking about pastors and church leaders being called into a meeting where they're warned about coming UFO disclosure, that Perry Stone recently, this video circling with him, Larry Raglan, a video circling with him, who's a dear friend of mine, is absolutely true because I was there in the meeting.
What of course, people are thinking, not just was there a meeting? That's not the point of discussion. The point of discussion is the nature of the meeting, right? Is it like governments disclosing things to you? Government is calling in pastors because they're so worried about the disclosures and how they will impact Christians that they're calling in pastors to have them prepare their people for this like earth-shattering stuff. That's the implication. It's not even just implication. It's just what they said on some occasions. Now, Congressman Burleson actually spoke up on this. He saw the video of Larry Ragland making these claims about him.
Of course,
and then
comes
he came forward and he said the
Burleson.
following. This was just a matter of time. And you're like, why are you laughing at this? Well, it's funny. Okay. It's not my fault. It's funny. It is funny that this happened. And I'm glad that the congressman spoke up. And then Larry Ragland had to issue an apology after this. But he says, I've had many people ask me to respond. I mean, I'll just let you pause the screen and read the whole thing if you want. He basically says, I don't even know what their meeting was fully about. I don't even know what was said before I got. I was just called in and encouraged the pastors to preach the word and that kind of stuff. It was nothing like what Larry Ragland said it was. And this prompted Larry posting this video apology.
I want to address this
now he's
video
walk
that's going around of me in regards to the meeting of pastors that gathered to discuss the upcoming so-called UFO disclosure. And in this video, I stated that a congressman from Missouri had called in to speak to the pastors. And of course, it's being revealed now that that is Congressman Eric Burleson. And he did call in, but he called in to encourage us and to thank us pastors for the work that we're doing, and that we are, speaking the truth to our people and pointing them to Jesus and not get distracted of things in the world. In that moment,
so you notice how we were at a meeting with government officials turns into a government official called in. Well, being at a meeting with government officials, getting highly classified information divulged to you, and a retarded congressman who hunts space aliens on the taxpayer dime calling in and saying a few things to you is entirely two different things. They all got the story 100% wrong. There was no government people there, but a retarded congressman in the form of Eric Burleson did call in and say some things.
I began to state things that I have always said. That is my opinion, and my opinion is, and that's exactly all it is my opinion, that when this disclosure comes out, that it will be spun, that it is, that the aliens have always been here, that they seeded us, that they created the first religion, and all of that.
Yeah, this is ancient aliens theory.
Things he always believed. These are not things he learned in a meeting. These are things he believed from the beginning, right? He's been in this stuff for a while now. This has nothing to do with the meeting. This is him using the meeting to promote his previous beliefs that he already had. That's how I read the situation. I think that this apology is actually dishonest. I'll show you support for that as soon as he's finished.
Would have stopped and paused and said, and this part is my opinion. In the heat of that, I didn't. I led with saying that they had called the pastors, and I went straight into my opinion. So I want to make it very clear that Eric Burleson did not say those words. Those were my words. And I want to own it, and I want to apologize directly to Congressman Eric Burleson for any problems that this has caused you, any confusion.
So as retarded as Eric Burleson is, he calls these preachers out. He's like, hey, I didn't say any of this shit about the aliens. You guys said that shit. I said, you guys are doing a great job, bringing people to Jesus. He didn't say anything about reptilian aliens, off-world vehicles. They just made that shit up. It was things they already believed, and they attributed it to government officials. But the only government official who had anything to do with this meeting is the retarded Congressman Eric Burleson, who, by the way, paid a twice former mental patient, Dave Grush, $31,500 to help them hunt space aliens, right? Okay, and he didn't say any of that shit, and he called you out. Now you got to walk it all back.
And to any of the viewers that have seen this video clip. So I wanted to state the facts and make it very, very clear what actually happened. That was my opinion and not the congressman. So thank you so much. And the bottom line is this. I just want you to focus on the Lord. And that was the purpose of that meeting, is to just focus on Jesus. And as Jesus said, be not deceived. So thank you for your time, and God bless.
So for this, Larry, I would acknowledge it's good that Larry came out and apologized. That's a healthy thing. That was a proper thing. The apology is good.
No, it's not good.
I know I'm going to be criticized as being too, I don't know, mean-spirited or assuming the worst or not believing the best about people or something. But
I'm mean-spirited.
But the reality is that his apology doesn't actually line.
No, Pastor Mike, I'll say it for you. The reality is that this guy only apologized because he got caught. If he didn't get caught lying, he would have never have apologized. He would have just let the lie live. And I think this guy, Pastor Mike, is too kind to these grifting, scamming preacher scumbags.
And up with what he said. He said that he just should have taken a breath and said, oh, and this part's my opinion. And he just got heated up in the moment. That can happen. That's not what it looks like happened. And one of the reasons why I would say it doesn't look like it happened that way is because this is not the only time that Larry did this. We have at least 2 times on video where he did it. Here's a completely different video where he did it almost word for word the same again. This is a completely separate time. This is on April 30th.
By the way, there's an AI. The AI mod in the Kick Chat is off the rails. Sector said these people are all retarded, and the AI mod deleted it as hate speech. So I apologize, Sector. We have a free speech zone, but I can't do anything about the AI mods. I can't turn them off on Kick.
Where he does it while he's talking to Joseph Z, another guy who was in one of these meetings, and they just seem gung-ho about it. There's no brakes on this machine yet because there's no public scrutiny.
Let's get some attention and some money out of this and sell our books
on it yet. So here's the video where he did it again. Now ask yourself, does this sound like he just in the heat of the moment, he forgot to pause and go, and this part is my opinion, not the congressman's opinion. Did that happen? Or did he intentionally couch all of this as the congressman's opinion?
Right. Now you were in that meeting, Z. Sandy and I were in a meeting with the same group of people that y'all were with.
That's right.
And one of the things that when we were in that meeting, we had a congressman that's very well known. I won't say his name. It would be easy to figure it out, but he's on one of the committees.
We did figure it out. It was Eric Burleson.
Called in on speakerphone. And they put him on speakerphone, very, very famous representative. And this is what he said to us in that room. He said, are the pastors listening to me?
Wow.
And the only ones that was in that room that were pastors was me and Sandy, and Jamie Walden was there, and Tony Merkel.
Yeah.
And
so this guy, Tony, was at both meetings, but these are 2 separate meetings, but it was with the same people running the meetings, right? So it was 2 basically identical, for all intents and purposes, 2 identical meetings. And on the one that Larry was part of, which is weird because Alan's like suggested that Larry was part of his meeting. Alan was just wrong about that. Maybe he didn't remember. I don't know.
Of course, Tony's always there.
Tony, he's always there. He's always there.
We're
going to hear it. And there was a local pastor
over on Kick. I'm sorry. Thank AZOAZ just said a full send 100 kicks. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Let's get some Kick support. This is the only Kick support from tonight. I'm gonna turn the Kick stream off. AZOAZ. You saved it. I was going to turn it off, but since you sent 100 kicks, I'll leave the Kick stream on. Right? These Kick brokies, man. All right. Well, we'll try to make it up on the YouTube side, right? The Kick brokies are broke again. It's almost the end of the month. I guess everybody's waiting for their disability check, right? No, I don't have Dark Side Phil's audience. My audience is largely filled with people who have jobs and everything, right? Yeah, I agree, Sector. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to let you know that it wasn't me. Like, I'm not we don't delete any comments over there, right? Feels like charismatic churches talk about conspiracies more than Jesus. I would tend to agree with you. Yeah. They really are. It's like anything for attention.
Found out later.
Just deposit. We're going to hear later from Tony Merkel, and he was at the meeting. I have clips of him explaining it very recently. He just came out with a video where he walks through this stuff. And guys, it is the opposite of what you heard it was initially. It's just the opposite.
Z, this troubles me. 20 to 25 very prominent pastors were invited to be in the meeting that I was in, and they all turned it down. That's a statement of the condition of the church, in my opinion. And so this congressman said, pastors, are you there? Can you hear me? And I spoke up and I said, we're here.
I don't know that he is.
And he said,
Probably.
am
the clip never ends, man.
And this is maybe not perfect words, but this is what he said. He goes, please go tell your congregations that they are not ready for what is coming.
My goodness.
What we have seen and what we know is coming. He said, this congressman said, I have generals, I have people that have seen these things that are asking me to contact the pastors and ask the pastors, beg and plead with the pastors, please wake up your congregation and tell them they are not ready, because the church is going to fall for this lie.
that is not possibly what not possibly what Larry said it was, that Eric Burleson, he just forgot to pause and go, okay, this part's my opinion.
No, he said Eric Burleson said this shit. He's a lying scumbag, fake Jesus preacher asshole, in my opinion.
He put in the mouth of the congressman, I have generals who are pleading with me. Like, this is, come on, bro. If your apology video is real, if there's any element of reality to that apology, then you are clearly fabricating information here to try to elevate the sternness and the authority of the things that you're saying. And that is, sadly, something that happens too often in charismatic churches. Yeah. You just got caught. You got caught. Now, he's not the only one who had to apologize. Flash forward to May 8th, several days later, and you've got Alan Didio.
I don't know how, Deep End Girl, but I go to sleep at my cabin, and every day it seems like I go to sleep at my cabin and I play something like a podcast like Joe Rogan. But then when I wake up, there's a video playing from this guy. And then I just decided that God must have sent him to me and my YouTube algo or feed because I need more Jesus in my life. I don't know. And so especially on Sunday, I don't turn it off. I get up and I have my caffeinated beverage and, get dressed and get ready for my work day and listen to this guy. And then I happen to find out that he busted this whole fake pastor disclosure story. So yeah, it's worlds colliding. And some people call that a synchronicity. Maybe he ended up in my feed so that I would be able to do this show. I don't know.
Oh, and he's saying it's true, everything that's kind of on the top of your page there. And now he says, just to clarify, on May 8th, the government didn't call the meeting. It was a private group of Christian intelligence operators. Now, what does that mean? What do you guys think it means when you're a Christian intelligence operator? Well, if you're not with the government, but you're an intelligence operator, then you are effectively a freelancer. And that is not a pejorative term. Yeah. But that's what they are. They were freelancers. So this is the part where I show you they're walking it back. Now they're walking things back. They're going, oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong about the congressman, even though it was clear that you fabricated just reality. You should have said, guys, for whatever reason, whatever character flaw I've got, I'm sorry, I apologize, forgive me. I fabricated stuff to try to make the thing look bigger than it was, and then it got carried on the news. Alan Didio, for whatever reason, he affirmed things that were not true that later he had to walk back. And Perry Stone, he should actually just not be in ministry from this stuff. There's reliable reports of things about Perry Stone that have nothing to do with this.
Yeah. So in other words, everybody involved in this story was playing real fast and loose with the facts. You got people confirming things that never happened. There was no government officials there. Then they're putting words in the congressman's mouth saying that he said shit he never said. This is a mess, but this is why this story went viral, because it was all built on fantastic lies, sensational lies. And this is how stories go viral. You make big enough claims and everybody will pick it up. And one more thing I just want to put on the record, that the mainstream media is fucked. All they do is copy and paste things. They don't actually research anything. They don't actually investigate, find out if the story is true. If they think they can get some clicks and views from it, they just copy and paste it. Literally copy and paste it from the other people that are reporting the same thing.
Yeah. So the spin begins, and the spin begins in various places to now go, gosh, now that we're walking these things back, do we kind of like Larry take some real responsibility, but not total responsibility? Or do we do like Perry Stone and just ignore it and not say anything? Or do we do perhaps Alan Didio and say, it's everybody else? I actually have been consistent. I've only told the truth. Everybody else is getting this stuff wrong. They're all exaggerating it and blowing out of proportion. Now, it was around this time when it first started shifting, or right before it started shifting, that I made a video.
Right.
And this video, I was busy. And I didn't want to spend a lot of time on this. I just pulled out my phone and recorded myself while I was melting styrofoam in acetone because I couldn't fit it in my trash can. So I'm recording this video on melting styrofoam in acetone, and I offer some critiques. And I say, guys.
So I'm out here trying to get rid of some of this styrofoam without filling up my trash can. This is the acetone trick. But
well, that looks really environmentally friendly. Come on,
pastors. Recently, there's some stuff going viral about a few pastors like Perry Stone and Alan Didio and Mike Signorelli talking about being at a meeting. And I just want to ask for some clarity.
I didn't even know you could do this.
Let me
just melt styrofoam with acetone?
This stinks. I'm not saying no meeting happened. But the way that they're talking about it, you would think that this is an official government meeting where the government brought in these guys in order to give them a briefing on stuff that's coming. They said in order to tell the church and help protect the church and all this. The way they talk about it, it's easy for normal people to think that this is actually a government meeting. Like, the government called a meeting. This is like the president saying, hey, I want these pastors to know what's going on so they can prepare people. When in reality, it sounds more like the same kind of meetings that have happened many, many times, where a group of people get together and they say, hey, we think that there's going to be disclosures. We think that the government's going to release stuff. We think that this is the nature of the beings. And it sounds to me like the kind of sort of alien meetings that have been going on for like 50 years. That's what it sounds like. And the reason why it's suddenly going viral is not because they had a meeting. And
I'm not familiar with that. I'll have to look it up.
The idea that the government's going to disclose things.
I'm not a huge Alice Cooper
fan. The government's been disclosing information about UFOs and whatnot for quite a while now. This is not new. The reason why this is interesting to people.
So do I. That's why I'm curious. Like, what the fuck is he doing?
Because they implied.
What is that? Acetone? Like nail polish remover?
Top secret information from the government itself.
Sounds like Pastor Mike is very anal about putting too much trash out.
That's the reason why this is suddenly going viral.
Put in a trash bag. Why are you doing this?
Because it doesn't seem like it is true on the surface.
This is odd.
And the way they talk about it, if you listen carefully, some of them just say like government people were there.
Yeah.
Hold on. You don't say that when you're at an actual government meeting. You don't say government people were there. Like if I go to the White House because I'm invited by the president to be at a meeting, I don't go, hey guys, government people were at the meeting. Like that's just not the way you discuss it. So I'm just saying this.
It's not even that much styrofoam.
Like
just put it in a trash bag. Why are you doing this?
Probably never happened in the way that
burning the styrofoam with acid or some shit.
When people listen to these guys talk, it probably never happened like that.
Don't tell Phil. Yeah.
I'm thinking that their claims are going to turn out to be far less interesting once you actually get down to it. Now, what I will do is I'll mention this. It is important that Christians think about
and how do you dispose the acetone
as far as within Christian scholars. Like, what does that mean? Most believers think they have the answers here. In my experience, but they haven't thought very deeply about it. I'm just being real. So I will link a video where I talked about the issue. I'll link it down below. I talked about the issue of like, what if there are aliens? How does that affect Christian theology? How do we process
I burned
that?
some at my cabin.
It's not just the cursory, well, they're demons, end of story. Job's done. I think it's important that we go ahead and do the thought exercise of considering various possibilities in light of our Christian.
Yeah, napalm is basically like gel.
And maybe these guys can clarify. Are you guys kind of
some
making
flammable agent in gel? So that
it was a much bigger deal than it really was.
And they would drop it on
that's what it looks like to me, and I consider that clickbait and ultimately disrespecting your audiences.
That's so dangerous, yeah.
So let's just
put it in a trash bag, bro. It's not even that much styrofoam. It's like one trash bag full of styrofoam.
This stuff's going viral. It's freaking people out or whatever. So I just want to suggest that these guys may be exaggerating, that maybe they had a meeting, but it wasn't the government maybe that called a meeting. I said this before it had been confirmed because it was what a lot of people just knew instinctively.
The government didn't call the meeting.
I called it, and I was right. Now I've been under attack from Alan DiDio for this very balanced and calm video where I was like, guys, please come out and bring clarity. So I just want to put that out there. I've been personally brought into this. I've been called an ambulance chaser by Alan DiDio, and I have what is he called it?
Fuck that guy. Fuck
Candace
that guy.
Owens-like mentality. I think that was the phrase he used.
Mr. Christian minister.
They love the twisting of even some of the most prominent YouTube theologians that everyone thinks they can go to for solid biblical answers. I look at their response to this and how they're reacting, and I see just petulance, ambulance chasers, view chasers. Then I saw your comments today that were so off the mark, so misrepresented.
I thought that was clavicular for a second. Yeah, and so this guy gets caught lying through his teeth like a dumbass, and now he's going to blame the people that are calling out his lies and confirming that he lied about all this. And here this guy is standing up on a stage, still grifting off the secret UFO meeting. First of all, there was no government people there. Second of all, there was no classified information divulged. Third of all, the government didn't set up this meeting. You bunch of Christian lunatics did. Pastor lunatics. And here he is still trying to scam people over this, calling it a secret UFO meeting. And look at the background. There's like generals and shit in the imagery. You're scamming people off of this, you asshole pastor.
Of what had been said in the past. And it just it made you look like an ambulance chaser. That's what it makes you look like. A click and view ambulance chaser. I was
this guy calling somebody else a click chaser when he just made up a completely fake viral story saying there was government people at the meeting, saying that the congressman said things he didn't say, and he's calling other people clickbait people. Come on, dude. Pot kettle black.
So about to reach out to you, willing to have a conversation with you, but this whole
I should get both these guys on my show. And
I don't know if that's your motive or it's Pavlovian, if it's subconscious, but the only way you could be involved in every single controversy that's going on, I mean, maybe it's because you're not a pastor. I don't have time to be involved in every drama that's going on. The fact that you find Mike Uyghur in every single drama that's going on, he inserts himself and reads all these comments, it's very concerning. But I am willing to have a conversation with you. And what we're seeing is in a lot of these ministries who are very reactive, including people who have joined with us here in this program, it's like this Candace Owens type conspiratorial mind. They're matching each other's energy.
He's complaining about conspiratorial minds. This asshole went on a public live stream and said, yeah, I was in a secret government meeting. It wasn't a government meeting. And we had government officials there that told us about the alien. There was no government officials there. And you're complaining about conspiracy people. You are creating conspiracies, you asshole, you dumbass. I don't know. I think this particular pastor is retarded. This guy and the other guy who started this whole thing, they're basically retarded people. Like, did you think you were just going to get away with this, that nobody was going to fact check you or investigate it? Now, to their credit, almost nobody did. Everybody just accepted it as true because they were all circle jerking each other off, going, yeah, I was at that meeting and it's all true. No, it was all fake.
It's like the Black Lives Matter movement that took place. It just went hyper to an extreme, and falsehoods and things being perpetuated during that, even though at the heart of it, there's a good cause. And so people with compassion joined to it and didn't realize there were witches who were at the base of that thing that are actually pushing the narrative forward. And it's
witches were pushing Black Lives Matter. Where's he getting this from?
It's very similar. This heretic.
Sounds like this guy makes up a lot of dumb shit.
Hunting has gotten kind of out of control.
Sorry, man. You're overreacting like really strongly about this stuff, Alan. But that's what you said. So I'll mention that stuff's going out there. I'm more concerned though about the idea that this moment of extreme exaggeration with lack of accountability put into the public square is actually exactly what I've been covering in cover-up culture.
Great way to expose.
This is a symptom of a deeper problem. A deeper problem within the movement and a deeper problem probably with these guys, to be honest. So the spin begins. This is where Alan decides he's going to affirm that he never said these guys were in the government, and that's going to be his tactics. So each of these guys has a different tactic for how they're going to approach this stuff, whether it's apology or denial. Alan's path is the path of denial. Where he goes, why didn't you speak the truth that the meeting was not called by government officials? And Alan says, that's what I've always said for months.
Joseph Z and myself were lured into a meeting at an undisclosed location where we were forced to turn our phones on airplane mode and hear from those who are working
I never said that
in the intelligence agencies and investigating
that shit.
What's going down.
No, you haven't always said it. You've said kind of various things that don't always agree with themselves. And when Perry came forward, you agree with him. You said what he said was true. Then he's challenged. Well, then you shouldn't. This is important because, again, this is about accountability here. For those who care about the minutia, that's what I'm going to share with you today. He says, excellent. You should also consider publicly rebuking Perry for his lies, which included you and others. Paul would have done this publicly instead of letting a lie play out for personal gain, which looks like it may be what happened, right? Because Alan has mentioned himself that his book sales have increased and that it's become his 15 minutes of fame. His words, 15 minutes of fame. But then again, Alan's living in la la land here because he says Perry didn't actually lie. Perry didn't lie.
Excuses.
He was operating off secondhand.
And listen, you should probably expect better from somebody that claims to be a man of God or a pastor. He's just trying to weasel out of all the lying here. Oh, he didn't lie. He was working off of secondhand information. Why didn't you say it was secondhand information when the story first came out, you assholes?
Information. I don't know what that means. You said it was absolutely true. Right? So you mean he was wrong, but it wasn't a lie? Okay, fine, you can have that, but it was deceitful, and you said it was true. So that was the problem that you're not facing here.
Yeah, they do that. Yeah.
You know, what he said about government being represented in that meeting was technically true.
Burn all your books except
I love
ours.
all the details in my videos. Check them out on X or YouTube. Government being represented in that meeting, what does that mean? Does that mean that I can like say,
Good
hey
point,
guys,
Director. Yeah.
5 years ago, the government announced this, and it's Mike Winger, right? Just talking. Am I representing government in the meeting now? This is word salad stuff, but that's the path that Alan has taken. But again, like I said, Alan DiDio takes, he kind of says opposite things. He says contradictory things. And for example, in the same Spaces call, he at one point says that they were men in the government. Then he says maybe they were in the government, or they were formerly government, or they're recently formerly government, or maybe they're still in the government, and he kind of doesn't know. He gets a text from his buddy Tony in the real time in the Spaces call, and he goes, okay, they're not currently government. Alan interprets that text to mean they were in the government, but they're not now. Tony, I don't know if he's confirmed that that's true. I'm not sure that it is true. I don't know what's true about their nature of these guys because they're both anonymous. But then in the same Spaces meeting, and I know this is getting in the weeds, but this is where details matter, because when you catch people who are deceiving you, you only catch them by looking at the details. If you ignore
The devil really is in the details. Matt Joe says the Bible reads you become holy by becoming born again. That's it. I don't know if that's true, but I particularly enjoy the concept of rebirth. Like, there's a lot of people that were sinners, like, you know, Saul became Paul. He was reborn in belief in Jesus. I'd like to believe that's true, that you can be, you know, I've known some people that were like horrible, scumbaggy kind of people that found religion and became either born, I guess you would call it born again, and they're different people now. So I'd like to believe that. It's comforting to believe that you could be a terrible person and just be reborn in faith and then become a better person.
the details, if you refuse to even look at them, then you will never vindicate anybody, and you'll never catch anybody, and it'll be whoever talks the fastest will control the day. So he has played the two clips. I played you guys early, the Larry Ragland clip, and I played you guys the Perry Stone clip. He plays these in his Spaces meeting, or somebody plays them for him. And he's asked to respond. Was that Perry Stone statement and that Larry Ragland statement about the congressman, were these things true? Well, this is his response to that in the meeting. It blows my mind that he would say this.
What do you think about what they actually said? Did it all kind of resonate with your meeting?
Yeah, that lined up perfectly with what we discussed, both Perry's description and Larry Ragland's description.
What do you think about what?
Listen to this again, because Perry Stone said lizard people, government people were in the meeting, and that there were current government workers. And Larry said that there was a congressman who was speaking on behalf of generals that were begging them. Okay. And none of that was true.
That was all lies.
What they actually said, did it all kind of resonate with your meeting?
Yeah, that lined up perfectly with what we discussed, both Perry's description and Larry Ragland's description.
Welcome back,
perfectly.
Arlene.
It lined up perfectly.
Back.
The
Now
details lined up perfectly. This is where the confusion is brought. It's guys like Alan DiDio, and it's not just Alan. He's not the only guy, right? Mike Signorelli also caused a lot of confusion with his clips, and I'll share some stuff there as well. So I've showed you a little bit of a guy named Joseph Z.
Well, maybe that works.
That's his last name starts with a Z. But he goes by Joseph Z. He's considered a prophet in the movement, or a prophetic guy, at least considered that in the movement. And he has in fact prophesied falsely in the past. I want you to know these guys are unreliable. It's important that we know that, because they should not be looked at and taken seriously. I'm sorry, this is reality. Please don't take them seriously. So this is Joseph Z.
First of all, I love this network.
And what he's about to do on your screen is he's about to give a wrong, an untrue prophecy where he declares bold-faced in God's name. He speaks in first person with God's words, according to him, something that was completely false and untrue. And I have to give you a tiny bit.
Oh, a false prophet. We love them here. You know, like David Wilcock, the false ascension prophet.
A background. There's an organization called Daystar. Daystar, like second biggest Christian media organization in the world, I've been told. It's huge, right? Like everybody was on Daystar. All of the big programs and Christian programmers were on Daystar. until they went through a lot of controversy because of serious moral concerns about the leadership of Daystar related to infidelity, unchristian handling of marriage, of divorce and remarriage.
They were all cheating on their wives,
as well as
banging
then
the
it
hell
got
out of
exposed
each
like
other.
handling of child abuse stuff. And so that stuff all went viral, and then they started people dropping off the map. And what happened is Joseph Z comes up and he's going to prophesy to them that they're about to be restored. Now, he prophesied this shortly before Joni Lamb, head of Daystar, actually died. Sadly, tragically, but still, she died. He prophesies this to her shortly before she dies. This is the guy who's going to be your source on what the government's about to tell you and what you should think about it.
First of all, I love this network. I love this network. It's changing the world. But I heard these words and I'm being obedient to the Lord.
He heard the voice of God, and now he's going to repeat it and say something that's completely and totally untrue, which means that he fails the test of a prophet. We've talked about this many times. If somebody claims that they're prophesying and God gave them the prophecy, and then the prophecy doesn't happen, then that prophecy did not come from God.
Joni Lamb, the Lord says you have passed. Amen. And you are coming to the other side now. And for God Almighty is saying, have I not given you the crown? Have I not given you the scepter? And will you not gain a second scepter, says the Lord? I'm bringing a second scepter into your hand. For my eyes have seen and my ears have heard. And I know this hour, and I have predestined it for you and this season that you're walking in. So the blessing of the Lord is upon this platform. The blessing of the Lord is upon this ministry. And God is saying, I reside here. And strength is upon you,
God
Joni.
resides in a media
Strength is
company?
upon you, Doug. And what the enemy has meant for evil, the Lord God Almighty of heaven is going to turn it around for your good.
This is a false prophecy, right? This is not from the Lord. It did not come to pass. I talked to Alan DeDio about this because he was upset that I called them unreliable guys. And I was like, well, your guy, Joseph Z, he has a bunch of like word salad prophecies all the time. They don't mean anything. Remnant Radio's done reviews, reviews of his prophecies, and they're like, it's nothing burgers. And then when he does come forward and shares a very bold one that's very clear what it means, it completely falls flat on his face.
Failed prophecy.
God wanted you to get caught with your pants down, Joseph C. And that is indeed what happened.
And he's going to make it better than it was in the first place. And I see God's hand of favor upon you. Righteousness exalts a nation. And I call you a Deborah. I call you not only an Esther, but I call you a warrior in the house of God. And the Lord says, you carry a mantle like an Abraham, Joni. And I bless you and Doug together, and we stand with you. And I want to just say this, God is here.
God is here.
Now, this is where it gets even worse. Okay, that's a false prophecy where he's like, God said this, and he declares in God's name. This is blasphemy against God, to declare things in God's name that God is not saying. That is blasphemy. Worse than that is they're actually not on the right side of these things. As far as I can tell, as far as everybody I know who I trust can tell, the Lambs are on the wrong. Well, Joni Lamb's on the wrong side of this. Not all of them, because she has a son who seems like he's fighting in the right direction on these issues. But her husband, that he says God's with you, and your husband, this is the guy that 2 months after Joni Lamb's husband died, he divorced his wife suddenly and then married Joni really quick. To all intents and purposes, it appears reasonably that he did so. He divorced his wife to marry another woman. We have a word for that. Jesus gave it to us. He who divorces his wife marries another that commits adultery. The purpose of the divorce is for remarriage with somebody else. That's pretty clear. So here's where it gets worse than all that. Ron Cantor, who you guys have seen in the video that I did about Michael Brown, very sad situation. A lot of these, they're all sad situations, but they need to be dealt with and called out because we can't refine the church unless we're willing to go through the fire. So Ron Cantor, he's got some inside info and some connections for many, many years of doing ministry and being very, very charismatic as well. And he's a guy that I trust, who has been willing to call things out and put his neck on the line inside the movement and pay the price for it. And this guy says, I had a buddy, and I trust Ron, guys. I also personally know him. I trust him. And he says, I have a buddy who, so take this as you want, secondhand, doesn't mean it's not true, who was called up by Daystar, and they were trying to get him on all the programs so that he could affirm that Joni and Doug's marriage was okay, and that they're like putting the seal of approval with their authority, with their respect they have, people have towards them, putting the seal of approval on Daystar to try to bring people back because they had this exodus. Everybody abandoned Daystar because of the carnality and the stuff that was going on and the controversy. And this guy wouldn't do it. He refused. And so then, boom, it dried up. Well, it sure looks like it's reasonable to think that Joseph Z decided to fill those shoes, getting on the program and prophesying. There's only one other person that I personally am aware of who went on and prophesied falsely to the Lambs, to Joni and Joni Lamb and then Doug Weiss, prophesied to them about God prospering them and getting them through and about all these good things happening to them. And guess who it is? It's Sean Bowles. Sean Bowles, who I made my video about, the 6-hour video about cover-up culture that kind of launched so much of what's going on right now. At least launched it forward more. Much of it was already happening. I certainly don't take credit for anything. What really launched all this stuff is the corruption that's in the movement. That's what launched it. No videos would have mattered if it hadn't been for that. So Joseph Z gives a false prophecy where
if anything ever happens to my wife, I will never remarry. Never. I will never have another woman in my life ever. Well, I guess never say never, right? You don't know, but I don't think I would. I really don't think I would. Yeah. Now if I croaked, she'd remarry right away. She'd marry for money, though, the second time, not love.
Is now caught red-handed in it. This is the guy who's one of the sources. This is why I say these are unreliable men. You've got a man who threatened to kill himself when he was busted, with multiple witnesses about his predatory in behaviors towards women that worked for him as a leader, as a pastor, and threatened he was going to kill himself or burn his ministry down to the ground. We've got, Joseph Z, fake prophet. We've got Larry Ragland, who made up stuff about a sitting congressman in the United States government and then apologized halfway about it. We've got Alan DiDio.
Pastor Mike is right. They're all unreliable people. There are men who were in the government.
They're not in the government. They are in the government. He said all of the above, and he affirms that the videos from Larry Ragland and Perry Stone are true. Okay, so all that stuff is the case. Now let's talk about what they actually were saying for months. Because guess what? This thing happened in February. This secret meeting actually happened in February. It's May now. They've talked about it several times between now and then. It only went viral when they really started pushing this. It was government kind of narrative. Now, in their earlier conversations, it didn't quite land the same way. They talked about this, and yes, they were like implying that government was involved on occasions, but they were saying that the government was actually the bad guy in this scenario. And what was going to happen is disclosures were going to come about aliens, and the government itself was going to push a narrative that was going to be anti-Christ, specifically anti-Christ, and even anti-King James in particular, according to Alan.
By the way, alien entities hate the King James Bible.
They are gearing us up for the great deception that I believe it could be, even what would deceive the elect, if possible. I believe what they're going to release is going to so fit the narrative. They're going to say Jesus was a spirit, enlightened being that came down, however they frame it with their terminology. He came down and he was one of these star people. And they're going to try to lay over scripture all of their narrative, which is really demonic in origin.
They're going to say, you're close.
You're close.
You're close. Here's what actually happened.
Come on. Yeah,
here's what really happened. But particularly since the 50s, there has been a massive push from occultic organizations in partnership with and Luciferian organizations.
That's right.
In partnership with the federal government to bring deception. Manly P. Hall, who I believe was a confidant to the president, I think it was Roosevelt, said our main problem, we've been trying to introduce another translation.
There are many grifters
that is reasonably correct. But these King James people, with their every jot and tittle, are holding back the Bible translation we want to release. This was a famed occultist trying to introduce another Bible translation for the purpose of the kettle getting warmer, the frog in the kettle.
That's right.
Just to get us acclimated to their ideology.
Yeah, so not only was the whole story fake, but they had a whole second part to the story, which was basically that the government was going to say that aliens seeded humanity to try to turn people away from God and Jesus, and that Jesus was an alien or an alien hybrid. It's pretty wild.
A little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And now we're to the place where the body of Christ is primed.
Yes.
For whatever deception the government, the occultists want to put in front of them.
And look, all these Christian pastors are grifting off of the UFO clickbait.
I'm going to have a very important discussion.
Hey, look at this UFO bombshell, citing PSYOPs, false religion.
Today on the topic of UFOs, UAPs, non-human intelligence, and a recent cleanse.
See, they all did their research. They're using all the buzzwords that the UFO grifters are using.
Clandestine meeting.
It's kind of funny that there's that crossover, because the Christian grifters are jumping into the UFO grift because they get clicks and views from this. And, you know, it's a hot topic. And also the UFO grifters will also delve into spirituality to widen their tent. So it's funny that there's a crossover between UFO scammers and grifters and Christian scammers and grifters.
Me and some of my friends were pulled into and given some information about where things are headed with this disclosure narrative.
Good to be here, man. Good to see you, gentlemen, and it's good to have this conversation. We've got some previously classified documents.
And just like the UFO grifters, it's one big circle jerk. You know, this guy goes on this guy's show, and then this guy goes on that guy's show, and this guy goes on that guy. They all go on each other's shows and push the same narrative so that they can all make money out of this total horse shit.
Sensitive intelligence that the three of us were in a meeting gathering.
There's so many things going on. We, the three of us, and a few others, just a handful of
people.
You're
right, Richard Warren.
Were pulled into a meeting, and we really got data and information.
Well, I've got to say, this was one of the most unusual meetings I've ever been a part of, where the three of us, along with maybe three others, it seems like a half a dozen people were gathered in an Airbnb in the mountains of Tennessee, discussing an investigation that's going on in the United States government against crimes they have committed.
Yeah,
in
he's
the
been around
process
for a
of
while. He's a
retrieving
scammer,
and
grifter.
reverse engineering technology from non-human intelligence. The meeting also went forward to discuss the propaganda plan that was in place leading up to
sounds that way, right?
The urgency
For all we
of the
know,
meeting
this was all
there's
one big
about to be
psyop to
disclosure.
distract us from
We need to have a conversation with key ministers who have a big reach and a big influence, so that the body of Christ is not unprepared and is not back on their heels when this information comes out. So occult, this deals with hidden things, dark things, secret things. We see this happening. Actually, we talked about factions within the government in this meeting that are actually involved in occultic activity. And Tony can speak to that here in a moment.
Yeah. The meeting we were in, Tony,
yeah, this is clickbait sensational garbage from these
They said the
guys.
government
They're just another
has been
form
told
of
a
alien
lie.
grift.
The government
with a
believes
Christian
that lie.
slant.
And that is what they are going to reveal to us. They're going to reveal a lie to us.
What we were told in that meeting was to watch out for
Grifters.
supposed
Yeah, Christian
allies,
grifters.
people who appear to be on our side. They appear to be Christian, and they've been a part of the Christian community and the Christian conversation in this space.
You may be right.
And
God's
these
silly
people will
excuse.
come out and say, well, you know, some Christians say it's demons, but it's far more complicated than that. And I'm a Christian and I believe the Bible, but I can tell you that it's far more that's what we have to watch out for there.
So I'm going to share more evidence that the nature of the meeting was not government related.
I think we've
definitive
established that,
evidence
but
a
do we
little
need
bit later
more
from the guy that
definitive
called the
evidence?
meeting himself, saying as much that the people there were not from government. Nobody that was there was from the government or working in the government, and that the documents that they were using and the information they were releasing is all
it's all
public
open source
information and not
Public information,
stuff that
open
is
source.
currently
Nothing that was
confidential
classified or
info.
confidential.
Yeah, that's the stuff he says. So I'll play that clip for you later. But what I want to do right now is just highlight kind of
Well,
the
you could be
tenor, the
right.
reason why
Yeah,
I'm a
sure.
little concerned about these guys heading sort of the conversation from the Christian perspective on these types of issues. Again, I feel as though these, and it's just because it's such a public matter, it should be publicly known. They're just unreliable guys. Well, this is Larry Ragland. Just so you understand where he's coming from, I feel this could cause people into lead them into like a type of religious psychosis. I think can be very unhealthy for people, and it can kind of cause the panic that they're worried about fixing. They're going to create. So I'll just play the clip for you here. This is how Larry Ragland couches things.
Tonight, we need to address something very, very important. We talk a lot about the narrative and the disclosure that's coming, but more and more in every day that goes by, I'm beginning to see what's really about to happen. There is a certain group of people who are trying to get out in front of the actual rollout of disclosure. And ladies and gentlemen, it's, in my opinion, the most alarming disclosure, if you will. They're coming after the church, and they're going to begin to make us the enemy right at the beginning of this thing called disclosure. We're going to expose that narrative tonight. We're going to talk about what we feel like is really coming. This is a very, very important show. Stay to the end, and you're going to want to share this and send it to some people, because we're not going to allow this, because that is why we have this show, to expose the false narrative. Let's go.
No, he's exposing false
This
narrative.
is the thing. Their narrative, okay? Larry's narrative, Alan DiDio's narrative initially, or at least at times, he's sort of narrative shifts depending on what moment he's talking. Their narrative is that and this is Mike Signorelli, the government itself is going to be the source of the false information, the false narrative, right? We release files, and then we tell people, we interpret the information in a way that is specifically targeted against Christians. That is the narrative that they're telling. And
that's a very common narrative, that Christians are being persecuted. And, to be honest, yeah, there's places where Christians are being murdered just for being Christians. There's definitely Christian persecution. But these guys are selling a narrative of like, the government's going to try to destroy our faith in Jesus by saying Jesus was an alien, and aliens seeded humanity and created humans on earth. And it's all, false, and it's to distract us from our faith. And, because it pulls people together.
And they splintered in the way that they each approached it
differently.
People are being
attacked, they pull together.
This is actually what they're promoting. And it's the thing that they've been promoting for a while. It's the thing that Larry has believed for quite some time.
We got something really important to start to show off with. That is, huge. Let's go.
This is his show intro here.
Oh, God. How cheesy is this?
In the name of Jesus, you with me? Let's go!
You're watching The Big Picture.
How cheesy is this hokey shit?
The idea is that aliens are demons. Okay, that's the core of the whole thing. Aliens themselves, if they exist at all, are demons. That is the view that these guys hold to. Now, maybe, some of them, Alan might try to nuance that a bit, but basically the idea is they're demons. And the people that we have to watch out for the most are people like myself, who are going to suggest that we should look at the evidence and let the evidence lead us where it leads us. If there are aliens, I'm somewhat skeptical, but I'm open to the idea. Show me the evidence. If there's somehow spiritual beings or demonic, I'm open to that too. Or if there's just nothing out there, and that a lot of this is going to be just human origin, anomalies, and things like that, which I'm inclined to think that, but I don't have a conclusion without looking at the evidence, right? Their conclusion before we've seen the evidence is these are demons.
I don't know. I think
these are demons. And the government is going to do a coordinated effort to convince Christians that these demons are benevolent alien beings, to replace Jesus, feed into Islam, to feed into the occult, to feed into all these things. That's the nature of their conspiratorial thinking. This is their view. And it's not about government, really. It's not about disclosures, really. It's about this idea of a narrative that the government's going to push. That is what they are all about, which is why they go on to say that Christians are unprepared.
And this subject matter is no longer fringe. It's no longer fringe subject matter. It's being discussed in the Department of Defense, being discussed in congressional hearings, and now with these secretive meetings. It really was an interesting meeting. I can't wait to give you the details of this. With pastors in an attempt to spread the word, because churches, Christians are generally unprepared.
Yeah.
It's important that I play this particular clip because later on, Alan DiDio says, I never said Christians were unprepared. Christians, they're prepared. So there's just that back and forth of what is the truth. This is the fear-mongering of Perry Stone, because I want to show you, I showed you his video before, but I didn't show you the thumbnail he made for his video, which is beware of deceptive government reports about to be released, Perry Stone. Right, the news picked up on the idea that it was government themselves was calling these pastors together, and that's because of the way these men talked about it. But their actual thing, their real thing, is the government is the source of the deception. That was their thing. This is the original thumbnail for his video. That was the title of the video. This is the thumbnail of the video. Beware of deceptive government reports about to be released, Perry Stone.
Clickbait.
So. Yes, very much. That's the nature of what was going on here. This is why Perry Stone's original video was titled that way. Now, then the Mike Signorelli video, I haven't showed you this yet, but I need to show you the Mike Signorelli clips. I probably should have showed them to you earlier.
But here they come. Mike Signorelli. Oh boy, Mike Signorelli. He has a pretty strong presence online. I'm not trying to throw everything he ever does under the bus here. It's not my agenda here. This moment was a moment of deep irresponsibility, and one for which they're not being made accountable, not willing to face accountability. And so we're going to talk about it. This is Mike Signorelli when he brought his crew on, and the whole group of them got together in order to have a discussion about what happened in their meeting. Listen to what they said about it, because it is kind of wild. Mike did nothing other than hype this up like crazy. Listen to me, or rather listen to him as he describes the government soft launching conversations about UFOs and UAPs, which is the context of this meeting. Now, this video I'm about to show you, this is the opening of their video. The title of this video for Mike Signorelli was 94% of you are not prepared for the upcoming disclosure. The thumbnail image of the video, I got to show this to you. Let me get my face out of the way here. The thumbnail of this video straight up has their faces: Joseph Z, Alan DiDio, Mike Signorelli. It's a secret briefing.
Secret briefing. What was secret about it? It had nothing to do with the government. There wasn't anything classified. There was no government attendees. The government didn't call this meeting. There's nothing secret about it. This is clickbait garbage.
And what is behind?
It's nice to see that Christian grifters have figured out the clickbait system, though.
Mike, well, not only is there a UFO behind him, but there's a confidential file implying this implies it's a government briefing. But stronger than that is the way he actually opened his video. So let me play for you now clips from that very video.
Right now, governments are soft launching conversations about non-human intelligence, UFOs, UAPs, and actual contact with what they're calling extraterrestrials. If you are a born-again believer, I'm telling you, you're not prepared. That's why you're divinely watching this right now.
I just want to say I'm opposed to this idea of telling every viewer they're divinely watching this because they're not prepared for the things that are being disclosed. That is irresponsible hype.
It's garbage.
Anyway.
Yeah.
What's worse, I don't know if it's worse or not, but what's definitely present also is this idea that governments are soft launching conversations. The implication is we're telling you about our secret meeting. It was a government meeting. That's how it's implied. That's what it sounds like.
As this disclosure happens, you're going to see Generation Z actually start to adopt this as a religion. Your children, they could be a part of a portion of the body of Christ who fall away. By this research, about 90% of you watching right now are at risk of being deceived by this disclosure. Right?
The research had nothing to do with that disclosure, by the way. I've watched this whole video. Here's a few other select clips from it to just show the type of hype and the psychosis that you could be inducing in people when you do this sort of thing. Pastors, if they're going to prepare people for things, they need to do it responsibly and with wisdom and with care. This is viral content making. This is not pastoral care.
This is
now governments are soft launching conversations about non-human intelligence. Have you heard that phrase? UFOs, UAPs, and actual contact with what they're calling it extraterrestrial. The church is not prepared. If you are a born again believer, I'm telling you, you're not prepared. That's why you're divinely watching this right now.
Yeah, I just want to point out again, Alan DiDio was like, I said the church was prepared. He's in the room right now. He not only said the church wasn't prepared, he said they're all saying this.
So they
but
all repeat
the context of this viral moment is that Mike Signorelli is absolutely feeding into the idea that they were part of a secret government meeting that was launched by the government, a soft launch of a conversation in order to help prepare people. The same thing they were saying elsewhere. The reason why I keep hammering this down is because the lie is that they never said this in the first place. And Alan DiDio, more than anyone else, has doubled down on that lie.
Now, this has to be one of the greatest deceptions of our lifetime that's happening.
If the church doesn't get ahead of this and begin to talk about this, then we're gonna miss the boat, see a great falling away.
As a matter of
I don't think we're gonna see a great falling away. It's good to talk about this stuff, but again, I don't see this giant deception that's coming. Maybe I'm clueless. Time will tell. I don't think most Christians are going to have a struggle with their faith like that. There's definitely conversations we should have about the concept of aliens. And that's why years ago, I made a video on the topic of aliens. I'll link it down below, a sober analysis of it. Now, obviously, if there's demons, maybe they're demons, but let's not just broad brush, like it's, oh, for sure, if anything shows up, it's automatically demonic. Like we can't even consider other possibilities. That's a closed-mindedness that will actually make us more rigid in our thinking and more likely to snap when we're confronted with things we didn't expect.
Though, that the clickbait garbage works in the Christian space just as well as it does in the UFO grifter space. Just put a big clickbait title on it, anything to get people to click on the video, and then give people absolute garbage information that's fake.
We're told in that off-site clandestine meeting that one of the demonic propaganda arms is going to seemingly corroborate with the Islamic take on the crucifixion of Christ, that it was actually Judas.
That's right.
Because remote viewing actually revealed that no, it was Judas that was crucified, not Christ. So could we be months away from the global Islamic community celebrating, look, it vindicates us?
There's more there. I could put remote viewing. Yeah. This is weird stuff. This is where they're at. This isn't info from the government to the guys. They're leveraging a viral moment nonsense in order to get more attention on something else. And that is not inherently wrong, but the way that they're doing it, is misleading to the people and disrespectful to their own audiences. Disrespect people like that and then gaslight them over it. All right, we're going to show you now Tony Merkel. Tony Merkel's the guy that actually called the meeting. He just recently did a video and he talked about this meeting and he gave specific details about the facts and the reality behind the meeting. And I think of all of the guys I've heard talk about this meeting, Tony has been the most honest. And I want to give him credit for that. He's been the most honest.
He's not saying it was called by the government. It was called by him.
For sure, was trusting these guys with this information.
So the government had nothing to do with this meeting.
Being in the room with them when they said things that weren't accurate and not always correcting it. And I understand how that can happen. Tony, if you're watching, I get how that can happen. You're like, feel like you're the lower guy on the totem pole in the room, and that's fair to feel that way.
You're right. They get mad when he catches them lying.
Man, it sure got out of hand, didn't it? So anyway, here's Tony Merkel debunking his guys.
I organized the meeting that everybody's talking about. Mm-hmm. He is part of a private group of Christian intelligence operators.
He's now talking about this guy who's his contact, who's bringing the information to the meeting. He's the guy who's disclosing information to the pastors. Okay, this is a guy that Alan DiDio was listening to, that Mike Signorelli was listening to, that Larry Ragland was listening to, and this is what Tony says about that guy: private Christian. He's not government.
He's not a government person, no.
And I say that very specifically and as pure as possible.
The world's going to end. Why do I need to buy a book?
He is not government. He is not part of an intelligence agency, not NSA, CIA, none of the alphabets. As far as I know, he is part of a private group of Christian intelligence operators. They are operating privately on intelligence with disclosure.
Nothing to do with the government.
So this means that these guys deceived you, deceived the news, and then at least in the case of some of them came forward and said
fake story.
Twitter got it all wrong.
But just like in the UFO grifter space, these guys basically took a real event and then they embellished and exaggerated what actually happened in order to make it virally sensational enough to get huge attention, get on all the news, get all the news organizations copying and pasting the story.
Mike Winger misrepresented me. That's an angle that Alan has taken. Like, it's zero responsibility for the things that they said and did. Here, I appreciate Tony clearing the air on this. He is at least saying truth here and being very clear about it. Whereas Alan keeps spinning and twisting. I'm just being real with it. I spent an hour and a half on the phone with Alan, and he did not take accountability for a single thing, not fully, not truly. And it was just wild. I played him clips of him saying things where he would be like, well, I meant it this way. And it was clearly, in my opinion, just someone who will just spin and spin and spin and spin and have no accountability. So trying to bring that accountability now. What else? Previously, he called me a wolf in sheep's clothing, which he sort of walked back. He said he repented. Well, he kind of sort of walked back, but he left it on his YouTube channel, just like it's still on his YouTube channel. At least last I checked, that he's calling me a wolf in sheep's, or excuse me, a ambulance chaser, and I assume motives. And I don't believe
it's also nice to see that even in the Christian space, when you call out and expose lies and scams, you get attacked. So that's interesting.
the best about people.
Just like the
When he's calling me an
grifters,
ambulance
just like the
chasing.
UFO space.
Sorry, I think it's funny.
Yeah,
And
Christian
this is
intelligence
not
out there.
anything that's
What the hell
top
is
secret,
even that?
confidential, classified.
Nothing
This
was
is all open
classified.
source stuff that
Open
they have
source. Shit
gone
from the
through,
internet.
rubbed shoulders with people, gathered information from people, and came to these kind of conclusions.
And you
It's
thought David
not
Wilcock was a
intelligence.
wackadoo, yeah.
When you think of intelligence, you're thinking intel that is private to the government, that is being released,
Yeah, you're
like
thinking
just
CIA,
disclosed.
DIA,
Rather,
NSA,
it's the kind of investigations you could
Pentagon,
do by just talking to
intelligence.
people and getting disclosed stuff.
Yeah, it's
That's
just
how he's
shit from
describing
the
it. Maybe you
internet.
hear him differently. The way I understand what
Open
Tony's
source
saying here is
shit from the
to clear the
internet.
air, not government guys, not government information, right? That is only available to the government,
I've
that is
been
being
through it
disclosed,
myself,
as is
Deep End
happening
girl.
through other channels right now. We are getting disclosed government information, but that is
The latest is that somebody called Child Protective Services and called in false Child Protective Service report on my family, and CPS showed up at my door on Mother's Day. That's the latest attack from the people that I call the retarded Avengers. When I expose their scams, they start calling the cops on my family and CPS and trying to weaponize government agencies against my family, who has nothing to do with any of this. And I always say, like, I don't really care if they attack me, but leave my children and my wife out of this. They don't have anything to do with this. But they're scumbags, so they're going to do whatever they can to try to negatively affect me. Because how dare I expose their scams on the internet, Deep End girl? Trolly troll with one for the goal. Well, we missed the goal tonight, but that's one for the coffers. The thing that I noticed, these guys don't directly appeal for donations. Maybe they're more interested in keeping the system alive. Yeah, but they all got something to sell: books, courses. It's all, and monetized views. Some people operate YouTube entirely different from me. In our case, we have a very small channel here, less than 25,000 subscribers. By the way, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Huge boost to the channel. It really does help. And I looked at some analytics the other day and noticed that YouTube is telling me something like 80 or 85% of the people watching my videos are not subscribers. So please, if you watched a video and you enjoyed it, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It really, really does help. But other YouTube channels don't operate on, we're viewer supported. So we need the super chats and the donos because we're a very small channel. We make very, very little money on ad revenue. But some of these other guys, if they have 300,000 subscribers, they don't need a super chat. They're going to make, $500, $1,000 on every video for ad revenue. We make $20 or what, very small amount on ad revenue. So even if they're not directly appealing for donations, they don't care because they're making it up on the side of the ad revenue. What is the heaviest crystal you own? I got one that's a couple pounds, Toasty Chestnuts Real. I should bring it in here because people ask me about crystals once in a while. I don't believe all the crystal power bullshit, but I like things like quartz crystals. I find them beautiful. Let's continue. And by the way, I was only going to do half this video, but it's interesting enough to me that we've almost made it through. We're going to finish out the whole video.
Not what was happening in that meeting.
I do really think it's important that we see how a completely, totally fake alien story goes viral.
This is the heart behind the meeting. It was not to release classified information. It was not sponsored by the government. It was not held by people within the government.
So they lied.
This was a private Christian group of intelligence operators gathering intel and data and doing their own networking and sharing with pastors, any pastors that are willing to listen. I don't recall at any moment in the 2 meetings that I was in that reptilians were brought up.
You're probably right, yeah.
I could be wrong.
He goes for hours and hours.
If you guys,
some of those Q&A.
No, they were not brought up.
He's a good content creator.
Not brought up.
Good
okay.
pastor though.
These guys just, I mean, you get caught up in the news cycle and it goes crazy.
I'm a terrible judge. I've been a self-practicing Christian for so many years. I don't have a pastor, so I'm not really a good judge of a pastor, but so far this guy's cool to me because he's very knowledgeable of Bible scripture, and he's also exposing a lot of the scams in the Christian space, which I have to respect.
So the bottom line is, this is what happened, as I understand it at least, and I've tried to demonstrate it to you guys. Step one, there's a meeting. They do try to sensationalize it a bit and talk about it. They're excited about it. It's kind of conspiratorial, and it's about how the government will try to spin a narrative that is anti-Christian once disclosures come out. That's the main point. And so they're trying to prepare people, and the method of preparing people is to make sure that they know aliens are demons and don't trust them, they're demons. Not alien beings from other lands or other planets or something, but they're demons, you know. And there's other more nuance that can be added there. Maybe they're also lizard beings from beneath the ground or something like that. Now, what happened is when Perry Stone made his video, he stressed the government connection, which at times they had already done, but it just didn't go viral. Okay, and now it goes viral. And so they lean in on the very things that they know made it viral. So as broadly as possible, affirming, I was there, everything, you know, it's absolutely true. And Alan being asked is.
So one guy lies and says, we had a meeting, there was top secret classified information. The meeting was called by the government. And all of that was fake. Or this congressperson called in and he said all these things. All of this was totally fake. Totally fake.
Is what Perry Stone said accurate? And he goes, lines up perfect.
Oh, and then they get other people at the meeting to say, all of this is totally true. So the first guy lies about everything. It was classified. It was called by the government. There was members of the government at the meeting. A congressman said all these things that he didn't say. And then they get other guys at the meeting to say, all of it is totally true. So this is one big circle jerk, but a Christian circle jerk, which I never knew there was a such thing as a Christian circle jerk. A bunch of Christian pastors get together and they circle jerk each other off. This is crazy, friends.
Even though they're sitting there going, the government wasn't there and there was no lizard stuff, and we didn't. So in other words, Perry Stone was basically very wrong about the meeting. But they leveraged this and they pushed it. And then when they got more pushback because me or others were saying, hey, we think you're exaggerating, they said, you guys exaggerated, not us.
Yeah, that's totally
We've
fake.
been super consistent.
We covered that. That whole company.
In other words, it's a big waste of time. The reason why I make this video, the reason why I'm bothering with this, and this is the important bit, is because cover-up culture in the charismatic church is because things like this don't get called out and things like this don't get addressed. And I do think that if they were part of some other denomination.
Here's another similarity. In the Christian space, it's a big club and he ain't in it. Does that sound familiar? Just like in the UFO space, it's a big club and I ain't in it. And if you're in the big club and you play nice with the other scammers, you're not allowed to call out the scams and the lies, or they come attacking you. That's interesting.
National group, some other cluster of churches, I think they would have been called out for these things. It just would have, self-policing actually takes place. But there's something in the culture that refuses this from happening, and I don't understand it, but it's present. But here's the thing, its time has come. And there are so many people in your own churches right now, Alan, in your own church, people that are probably afraid to say it out loud, but they know that you are being a manipulative, deceitful person right now. And you're just attacking individuals like me, trying to assault my character in front of your own followers so that you can get out from underneath the things that are being said.
Oh, another similarity between the UFO space and the Christian space. If somebody calls out your scams and lies and you can't refute that they were scams and lies, just get pissed off and then attack the character of the person calling out the scams and lies so that your followers don't believe them. Sound familiar?
You claim you've been consistent and honest and only had integrity, and I would suggest tried love bombing on me personally, which felt very weird.
Can escape,
to be honest. But there cannot be relationship where there cannot be truth. There cannot be relationship where there can't be truth. And you can't have pastors who handle the word of God,
go check out our clip
who are okay
now.
with spinning false narratives and deceiving people in order to achieve other ends. And that cannot happen. And that is how you get cover-up culture in the charismatic church. So you got your 15 minutes of fame. You got your book sales, which went up. Which
congratulations, you got your book sales, you got your ad rev.
You're the one that mentioned your book sales went up there, Alan.
We actually have the individuals behind all of this who are helping to make us all famous, I guess, in our 15 minutes here of fame. And in the book, which for some it's taken off right now. I guess it's because of all of this.
Yeah, great. You created a completely and totally fake viral story to sell a book. That happens in the UFO space too. It's like these Christian pastor grifters were taking notes from the UFO scammer grifters or something.
It's even doing better than the Rapture book right now on Amazon. But what I do is, because this book is, this is not me fawning over the idea of aliens. I come at it, and there may be a link in the description for you to get this.
Sir.
If you don't already have this,
yes,
you need to
pitch
get
the book, you
asshole.
Mike Signorelli, I can't believe you said the stuff you said. Larry Ragland, honestly, guys, it's not the end of the world for you, but it should mean, please, this group of guys, please stop trying to climb to the top of the narrative control for the world or for the church for that matter. I don't think you're the guys for the job.
Patty. Yeah, New Age.
So sorry to bring this stuff to you guys. I initially made a short video, and I wasn't going to make a big thing about this. I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on it. It was when Alan kept publicly calling me out that I just went from posting a couple things on Twitter that took like 10 seconds or making a 1 minute, a 5-minute video that I did while I was working on other stuff to saying,
defend yourself.
This is getting darker and weirder, right? He was even suggesting that this by implication that the work that I've done on Cover Up Culture should be brought into question because of the way I was challenging him baselessly, as if he's just pure white as snow. And the reality is that none of that's true. So unreliable guys, I'm sorry to say. My name is Mike Winger. I usually try to help you learn to think biblically about everything. In this case, it's an embarrassment to the church that the church isn't the one calling these guys out.
Sure.
And that there's
why aren't there more pastors calling out these scammer pastors who are literally lying for money and fame? Why aren't there more pastors? To my knowledge, Mike Wingers is the only one that did a really comprehensive video like this, calling out all of this horseshit, garbage, peddling nonsense. Completely, totally, 100% fake story.
Seemingly no accountability within their own churches for the stuff they do. So I hand it over to you guys. So hopefully you guys will address this stuff properly. I think I've laid the trail of evidence. I think I've given an analysis that's accurate. So to summarize, the reasons why this video is going out is, one, this was a very public issue that should be cleaned up. And if not cleaned up, it should at least be cleared up. And that part I can do. I can try to help bring some clarity to what really happened here. Number two, there's embarrassment to the body of Christ. I didn't even show you the clips of Joe Rogan laughing at these guys, laughing specifically at Alan DiDio, because it was transparently exaggeration. He knows, he's in media, he understands these things.
Yeah, the pastors thing that I sent you, Jamie, is
that's
bonkers.
I
What do you think about all
I
this?
don't buy that.
So this is a guy, it says his name is Alan DiDio. After sitting in a private meeting with pastors and those connected to these investigations, the message was clear. UFO and UAP disclosure is coming. Pastors must prepare their people now. Silence is not an option. Well, what does that mean? Why would they bring in
pastors I've never heard of?
You think it's BS?
I do. If he'd have brought anybody in, he'd brought Franklin Graham in.
Is this gentleman a pastor himself? Click on his
well, I mean, he also has a show, which is
of course he has a show.
Of course he does. Can you click on his bio, please? Like what it says? Equipping end time believers for the next great awakening. Oh boy.
It's an embarrassment to the church. Not only that, but the nature of the conspiratorial stuff, some of the claims that these guys are making, which I haven't showed you all of the claims about scripture, about how to translate terms. We were told in
they're mixing the Bible in with their bullshit, which should be a sin in and of itself, right?
Testament to beware of deceiving spirits. And Alan DiDio says that legit translation of that is like flying aliens. I kid you not. So these things are not true. What we're doing is we are taking a pet project of research, and you're trying to wrap Christian theology around it in a way that is not appropriate. We should have thoughtful conversations about these things, but not that.
The other issue here is that it connects to cover-up culture in
that's interesting.
charismatic. It's not only in the charismatic church, but it's definitely present there.
Yeah.
And that is the lack of any kind of true legitimate accountability for leadership. They can spin narratives forever and never get in trouble for anything, which means that if they have grievous, serious sins, people that they've wounded, people that they've hurt, those people are vilified, and the leader just keeps on trucking like nothing ever happens.
Yeah, there's
the
never any
casual
accountability
deception or
in the
misleading
Christian
behavior from
Imagine that.
Christian influencers is unacceptable. And that's another reason why this video.
Another similarity between the UFO space and the Christian space. When UFO scammers get caught selling completely and totally fake stories, they suffer zero consequences. They just move on to the next fake story. Same for a lot of these Christian pastor grifter scammers. They get caught lying. They just move on to the next bullshit that they're selling. They don't have any consequences either.
Videos to be made. I hope that it helps, and I hope that other people out there realize that the majority of Christians actually cringe at this stuff too. If you want to have thoughtful conversations about UFOs, UAPs, and government disclosures, go ahead. You're not a fool for digging into it and thinking about it and going, "What's that?" Just do it with your brain and your Bible, and not just one and not the other.
That you cannot trust anything online. You cannot believe, and it is a total fabrication. The way narratives are shaped online, I've watched this in real time over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, punch him in the face with his own words.
It has been startling to me.
But we were lying about that, but now we're telling you the truth.
Right. By the way, alien entities hate the King James Bible.
Oh, good to know. All right, we made it all the way through this one, friends, and that is amazing. I was only expecting to go through about half of that, but we made it through the great majority. I want to thank Mike Winger for doing the research and work and showing the evidence. And again, like I said, I never knew about this guy until I guess it was a month or maybe a little more than that ago. And like I said, I'd go to sleep with like watching a podcast or listening. I can't sleep to silence. I have to have something playing in the background. And I don't mean like a noise machine. My wife likes those. Oh, gentle rain. That's not that. No, I need. And then I'd wake up and this guy, Mike Winger, would be on teaching Bible scripture and explaining the Bible. And he does a lot of interesting Q&As. So his name's Mike Winger. He sure doesn't need a bump from me, but going over, I think he's got 1 million+ subscribers. Going over to his YouTube channel and check him out because he appears to be not a Christian grifter pastor. Imagine that. But there's an awful lot of great Christian grifters, and I think we're going to get into some of them, mostly because it'll give us a break. Yeah, Deep End Girl is saying Mike has a soothing voice. Yeah, I woke up to him a bunch of different times, and the first couple times it happened, I was just like, "What is this? What is this shit? I didn't want to listen to this." But you know, I guess I have autoplay on or something. When one video ends, YouTube just randomly picks a video and plays it, and I'm sleeping. But I wake up and he was doing these Q&As, and but about the second or maybe third time, to be honest, you know, I'm at the cabin. I'm not really thinking about Jesus and religion very much. But by the second or third video of this guy that auto played somehow, I really was like, I should listen to this, you know? And I decided, I don't know if it's the AI algorithms or maybe it's God's will that somebody said, you need more Jesus in your life. And you need to think more about God and religion and theology and spirituality. So we're going to send this to you. It's funny how the world works sometimes. And little did I know, maybe that stuff was sent my way just so that I would have never discovered this guy Mike Winger's video on this completely and totally fake alien and UFO story. Even though we cover completely and totally fake alien and UFO stories all the time. And also, by the way, when this story went viral, a lot of people asked me to cover this, but like I didn't have the ability or willingness, honestly, or the passion, to be honest, to kind of expose this one. So I kind of sat it out. But isn't it interesting that, you know, somebody that understood the characters involved, and I'm sure that this Mike Winger, he'd have a hard time exposing a UFO grifter scam because he doesn't understand their history. But when it comes to these Christian scammers, looks like he knows their history and their, unreliability and their false prophecies, and was able to do it much better than me. So shout out to him. And by the way, I'm now making it a new tradition. While I'm at the cabin, at least on Sunday, I'm going to listen to this guy's theosophical or theological, videos. And some of the videos he makes are very interesting. He's got different topics and everything. But anyway, can't hurt on Sunday to hear a little bit about Jesus. I have been thinking of trying some of the local churches in my in the area that my cabin is in. But I have to be honest, is mostly mostly I pray at my cabin. And I pray at the new property, especially because the new property where I'm building that little backwoods cabin is nothing but forest. And I could think of no better place to pray than a beautiful forest. So that's where I do my spiritual thinking and praying. Arlene, you two probably put Winger in your feed because he exposes scandals and you listen to a lot of exposés. Could be, yeah. But I wasn't getting any of the exposing scams. I was getting just the straight Jesus talk, which, it's fine. I like a good discussion about theology, even if it's not the Christian kind. So I listened to, who's that guy? He's a Jewish man. And he does all videos on the occult and the Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism. I listen to him sometimes. So I like that kind of stuff, right? Check out his Passion Translation playlist. I'll do that, Deep End Girl, and thanks for the recommendation. I'm not very familiar with him. I did on Sunday wake up to him doing a Q&A. So I've been listening to the Q&As because I like from the first one, I actually didn't, and I have to apologize to Mike Winger. I was just like, what's this shit? And I turned it off the first time. But I've done for the past couple of weeks, a lot of 3-day weekends. And I'm not kidding you. All 3 days I wake up, Mike Winger's on teaching me about Jesus. And I go, it's like the universe is trying to tell me something. Maybe I should listen to this. So that's what I did, Deep End Girl. And I'll check out that Passion Translation playlist. I have to make a mental note or I'll forget, right? Richard Warner, me, newbie, asked Pastor about Joan of Arc. He seemed non-committal, but courteous. I realize my church is Bible-based. Joan is after the Bible plus Catholic. My church is Christian. There is a difference. Yeah, you're right about that. It seems like the Catholics have a long history of saints and things that are after the Bible, and a lot of Protestants don't get into that. I'm sure I once asked a Christian minister about Saint Stephen, and he was kind of the same way because it's, he's Bible based. And thank you, Deep End Girl. Good to see you here. I think we got some new people that are fans of Mike Winger for whatever reason. I don't know why. I haven't seen many of you in the live chat before, but you are most welcome. Please be sure, if you're new here, smash that subscribe button. It's a huge boost to our channel. It really, really does help us, and we're trying to get to the magic number of 25,000 subscribers. We've been at this for many, many years. I never sold out. I never made clickbait. I never got caught selling a fake alien story. I've never sold fake alien stories. We expose the scams here, not promote them. And I have to be honest with you in telling you that if you really want to do well on YouTube, the better way to do it is to just sell bullshit, right? But we don't do that here. Yes, the more the merrier, says Wojcik. Welcome, everybody. You'll notice we have a very welcoming live chat. And you can also check out our Discord, where you can chat with like-minded truth seekers from all over the globe, not just during our live broadcast, but 24/7. We want to take a moment to thank you kind and generous benefactors, you Patreon supporters, you YouTube channel members. Hey, did you know that? You could join and become a member here on our channel. Just click that join button. We thank you super chatters, people buying me a beer, people sending PayPal, you people on Kicks sending kicks or becoming a sub or gifting subs, you people gifting Truth Seekers memberships. We love and appreciate all of you. Oh, Deep End Girl, watch me on Kino Casino. I wasn't aware. Well, still, you found us again. And it's interesting that you came in on a night where we were covering this Mike Winger that you know all about. And I'm glad for that. I'm thankful for that, right? Yes, Patty says, our chat is the best. Nice people. I agree. Yeah, so we've done our due diligence for tonight. We've got a big full week for you this week. I'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and there's no place I would rather be. In the meantime, please do check out our Clips channel. It's Truth Seekers Clips on YouTube. Or for all the latest episodes, visit our website, truthseekershow.com. From there, you can get all the latest episodes, whether you want the audio version or the full video version. They're all there. Also, join us and follow us on our Kick channel. It's kick.com/truthseekershow. And if you become a Kick follower during our live broadcast, I give you a big shout out and thank you. So that's all we got for you. Again, I'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is the last week where I will be kind of constrained for time. For those unaware, I'm currently on house arrest. My wife hates when I say this. And by the way, all these rumors started. I didn't actually get arrested. I'm not really on house arrest. It's just what I call it because I have a nonverbal handicapped son. He's autistic. And then I have another son, and they're both home for summer break. But this week is the last week with Zachary. He'll be going to a summer program next week. So I'm going to have much more time next week. We're going to finally start our Truth Seekers Today show, which is going to be a new 1-hour formatted show that I believe will be I think it's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And there's a lot of people who want us to do shorter format or maybe cover this or cover that, but it won't really fill the normal 2 or 3 hour format. So we're going to be jamming a bunch more shows in there, fighting that summer slump. And by the way, if you're a supporter of the show, you can help me fight this summer slump in views and support by going through our archive, watch some videos, hit that little magnifying glass, put any UFO celebrity's name in there or grifter. You can search for George Knapp or Jeremy Corbell or Linda Moulton Hale or whoever, Bob Lazar, and you can find tons and tons of content exposing their scams. We really do appreciate the support to get the views up. But we go through this every summer. The views kind of fall off. I get it. People are going outside. But hey, if you're going hiking, maybe you could just listen to one of our shows while you're hiking, or if you're going kayaking or camping or whatever those outdoor activities, please consider including Truth Seekers in those. So that's all I got for you, friends. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us, and welcome to our new friends and followers. Be sure to smash that subscribe button, like, comment, and share these videos. Leave a comment before you leave. It really, really, really does help. And if you haven't already, smash that like button. Let YouTube know that you like what you're watching so that they recommend us more. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.
Dark corners of the night, secrets hidden from the light. Whispers turn to screams, shattering all your dreams. Eyes wide open now, truth you can't disavow.